Okay. I think it is working. Um, Hello. Hi, Doug. This is in the Twitch chat. Um, Good. It can be seen. I guess when you hear me say this, you will know what the delay is between my software and the various restreaming softwares. Okay, good. There are people on Twitch and it seems to be going through. And if perchance you are watching this on, well, I was trying to stream this on YouTube, um, but I don't think that part is working. So just give me, oh no, it apparently is working. It's just not working on my end, which is the story of my life. So it's been like 3 years since I've done anything involving making videos or live streams. So sort of getting my footing here again. Oh my god, there's more people! It is Swearbox and the Dr. Moreau and Ferdly Butter. Hey, you are awake. That's great. And Euclid's fifth postulate. Hola. Okay, I'm glad you like my very rough around the edges setup. And okay, this is good. This seems to be working. Actually, this is working a lot better than I thought it would be because there are 13 viewers. Oh my god, this is so many people. So I was going to make a quick Instagram post, because you know that is that is my way of saying, hey, I made a thing. So you will have to excuse me for a moment whilst I do that. Just for the people who don't check stories. Oh, Erebus Smiths. Hopefully that is the right way of spelling it. That's okay. I really appreciate you dropping by, Fuzzy Butter. Um, is the usual thing that you just read the name as it appears in chat? This is also where you discover that I actually am not really a Twitch user. But I have a lot of people who do use Twitch, and I have been persuaded to try it out. Okay, so my Instagram draft that I crafted yesterday so that I could post it quickly did not work. So we're just gonna give me a couple minutes so I can recreate what I made earlier so I can post it, and then I will actually talk about what I'm trying to do with all of this. I think that's great. I mean, technically, I'm at work as well, right? And I really appreciate everyone who's kind of dropped in to listen in, whether you're at work or not. Okay, so let's see. I was gonna post a slightly more thirst trappy photo because, unfortunately, that's what does well on Instagram. Each time I try and post anything that's more, hey, here's a bug, here's an eclipse, no one seems to see it. And I've kind of got to milk the self from a thing here. So just give me a moment. All right, picked 3 photos, which Instagram is now going to immediately. Yep, there we go. All right, let's recenter that a little better. And this one. And I had my text all written out yesterday. Let's see, what are we going to write? Yeah, yeah, girl made a Twitch account. A Twitch account, and it is live, right? Oh my god, there's 15 people watching. Hi. Hi to everyone else. Okay, so I made a Twitch account and it is live right now. Um, I definitely had something, I had something more thoughtful in my version that I wrote yesterday. But right now I have the pressure of being live, so I think it's going to be your girl made a Twitch account and it is live right now. And it's from Los Angeles, California. Okay. Um, Share, and I will do the story version as well. Um, my countdown is almost over. My countdown is indeed over. So we're gonna take a photo for the countdown. All right, that's a terrible photo. So maybe we will hide my face with it and instead put the link Top right, front, and center. Twitch.tv / draw curiosity. Okay, posted. That was okay, that was kind of haphazard. Anyway, hi everybody. So, welcome to my first ever Twitch stream. Um, so basically, first of all, I was not expecting as many people. I know these are baby audiences for Twitch and live stream. But it is still more than I expected. Like genuinely, I thought I would be chatting to an empty room, which would be totally fine. I have been gone for a while. But yeah, I've decided that I'm coming back to YouTube. I've been trying to come back for a long time. And one of the things I had the most trouble with is honestly, it just takes a really long time to make videos. Um, and I had a few problems last year, which I'm not going to go into them because that's very public and vulnerable for a stream. But basically, I couldn't sit down for long periods of time because I would be in pain. Um, and I did think that was the perfect fate for a really restless extrovert like myself. So I kind of just spent a long time not doing things that involved sitting down a lot. Anyway, I'm a lot better now. And I can sit down as evidence from this. Hi, Ajar. It's nice to see you again too. I recognize your name as well. Um, so yeah, I guess major life update. I can sit down. But I've become very accustomed to being around other people um and or being outside. So I was trying to think, how can I make things easier for me to sit in front of the computer for a protracted period of time so I can edit my videos as best as possible. And a lot of people said Twitch would be a good way. Um, the very few streamy things that I follow actually involve watching people who do like study or work with me and following their little Pomodoro things. So I'm not being very original here, but I thought I could maybe adopt some of that so I could do some more chill streams where we work together and then we can have a chatty break. And I also thought, well, it would be a good live streams always make me very nervous because I feel put on the spot and I have to come up with lots of really exciting things to say and no one's talking. Well, I guess people are talking back in the chat, so that's not true. But I'm in a very quiet room right now. Um, So I also thought maybe it would make me a little bit better at live streams and doing things live because there is sort of a thrill to that, but it's also not something that I find easily. So, the whole pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, developing skills and talents. Um, and thirdly, just kind of going back to the keeping me focused. I mean, it's just kind of nicer to work in company. I'm sure there was an actual third point, but I forgot it. So without further ado, this is really just a test stream. I just want to see how this goes. So I want to try out the, talking to chat. So if you have questions, suggestions, if you want to tell me what sort of things you like to see from a stream, that would be super duper helpful. Um, Otherwise, my other task for today is to kind of spruce up the setup a little bit because yes, I really hope chat will be good at distracting me because you all generally have a lot of very interesting questions. Um, I don't know. I'm assuming Twitch has moderators, right? Maybe this is the kind of thing where during work time, someone else takes over the talking part and then during a scheduled break. I also realized, so I was also told that I should have the chat in the stream. Um, and I was very hesitant to do that because I used to do that on YouTube before they had better filtering, and sometimes there would be something unsavory on screen that I don't want appearing in the video. But you all are great. I know who you all are, ish, I think, but you all are great. So maybe this will be my first task, and is going to figure out. Okay, there's no need for chat on screen. Okay, good. It will remain that way. That means I don't have to do as much. Um, But yes, my number one task was to make this look a little bit better. I did already do a few things. So this is my laptop webcam. But I also managed to set up my tablet as a proxy webcam. So now you can see me from a slightly different angle. And I also did the same with my phone, which, oh, it does not work because I did just take that Instagram photo. So just give me a moment to update the proxy webcam so that it actually, all right, that looks correct. It does not look, oh, okay, I need to update it from OBS itself. Right, so briefly click on the tablet and briefly click on mobile. Okay, right, let's see if this works. Hi, Dang Umbrella. Hi, Rotman 3D. I am indeed wearing the same shirt I would warn you would be wearing. I'm true to my word. Okay, so, oh, interesting. So I was told that this software would have a watermark, and I spent ages looking for it. But I finally found it. It's in the bottom left corner of the screen. So I promise I'm a smart PhD person, but I still haven't figured out the difference between left and right. Might have to change the mic as well because I can hear echoes. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. When you mentioned that, I figured out the problem, and I believe the default mic is through these proxy windows instead of the desktop one, so I just muted that, and it should work. Anyway, I'm gonna switch back to this angle, unless you have a preferred angle. Which one do we like more? Do we like the front laptop top view? Oh, great, the tablet is not working now. I was gonna say, do we like the tablet view? So let's get this tablet to work again. You know, in my little test from yesterday where I did not stream anywhere, this worked fine. Okay, so we got a side view. And then we have other side view, which once again is not working. Maybe when it streams it has problems with that. So for simplicity, let's just stay here. Okay, to audio sources is slightly delayed. Oh yeah, is there actually a latency between when I am talking and the way my lips move on screen, not on screen? That is the other thing I haven't figured out and that I recall tweaking in the past. Okay, 3 cams is quite fancy, 2 is great. I would agree. To be fair, none of these are super fancy, so I think I'm going to sacrifice the mobile because that feels like a useful device for me to have, and it's not really streaming anyway, so goodbye to that one. And because the light is coming through the window, I'm going to put the tablet over on this side. Okay, perfect. And interestingly, on this one, I don't see the watermark from this company. Because what I was saying is that I have a lot of trouble telling apart left and right. I don't know why. I really feel like this should be the left and this should be the right. It makes no sense and very problematic when you're driving. But fortunately, I remember that left turns are harder than right turns, and somehow that keeps me turning the correct direction when I'm driving. Okay, the lip sync is good. We like to hear that. Okay, so we're gonna do the front webcam again. Oh, I'm gonna show you the thing that I tried. So because one of my end goals was to make a sort of Pomodoro room, I found a place that makes a timer, which is on screen. And I believe I can switch between my 2 views. Good, that works. And where is that timer? Somewhere in my browser. and I can make this timer of death. Except it doesn't really look that ominous because in order for it to look ominous, you have to pay for it. And I don't know if I want to pay for a timer without knowing for sure if, this Twitch thing is for me and the people who are watching. But anyway, this is the progress I've made so far. In terms of 12 hours ago, I thought, maybe I'll make a Twitch account. Then, like 8 hours ago, I remembered I should probably look into OBS and figure out how to use it. I've used it in the past, so a lot of things were still there deep down. Um, then I slept, and now it is the next day, and I have the house to myself, so we got to try and get out. So I've been told layout is everything. Y'all in the chat have said I don't need to have the chat in the screen, and that works fine by me. Because it's one less thing for me to do, and I always kind of have this worry that I don't know, what if someone writes something nasty in the chat that is banned on YouTube or Twitch? And that's the other thing. I should probably have read the Twitch guidelines. I remember ticking the thing saying that this stream involves no profanity, no nudity, no sexual content, no substance abuse. So it's a pretty standard PG content. Also, I'm going to stop this timer because I'm not actually working. I said I would do a chatty, a chatty little thing. Um, you put so much more effort into this than I have in 4 years. Hey, I mean, I kind of dodged Twitch for a long time. Months ahead of most new streamers already. Well, that is very sweet. I technically have live streamed before. There were the good old days where I would occasionally do live streams on YouTube, and I remember once Binghamton University, they hired me to give this little mini lecture, which is still on Draw Curiosity. And that I think was the extent of my OBS streamer career, where I did set up a cool window and there was chat box there because I had moderators. And then there was a little PowerPoint presentation, and then there was my face frantically presenting the Q&A. Audi18, hey everybody, want to hear a joke? I would love to hear a joke. I guess if you type it up, we can all read it. I guess if I read it out loud, we will all be hearing it by proxy. Whilst this joke comes through, I will attempt to start making a new OBS screen thing. Oh yeah, I also made a little status thing. Figuring out OBS. Okay, I'm still waiting for that joke. You have us on tenterhooks, audio team. If you don't have a joke, I will come with some jokes. Okay, in the meantime, I'm going to create a new scene. So first of all, let me copy this. Actually, let me copy the entire scene here so that when I create a new room, what are we gonna call this? This scene is called Inace's basic room webcam. So this one's gonna be called Inace's fancier room webcam. Okay. I'm gonna drag this to the bottom. Okay, we are in this room now. Okay, see. Twitch got me through COVID. Speaking of, I believe the last time you and me had any kind of major interaction was within the first month of lockdown. That was a while ago. That sounds about right. Honestly, I kind of disappeared during COVID. I feel like COVID was a great time for a lot of blossoming creators, and I gotta confess, I feel I had the opposite. It had the opposite effect on me. I got pretty depressed, and there's something just about how the whole way COVID was massively mismanaged. But for a while made me think, is that your point to science communication? Like, nothing's gonna change. Anyway, I did not mean for this to get dark, but things are a lot better now, obviously, because I'm back. But yeah, sometimes I wonder if, well, things would probably be different if I had been able to ride the pandemic train, but Also, I was in very different time zones and lots of things were going on in my personal life. You know this from your studies, but bees are actually allergic to pollen. Well, you know what? I actually didn't know that. Okay, that one's actually really good. I know you know this from your studies, but bees are actually allergic to pollen. When exposed to pollen, they develop hives. That, um, good one, good one. I actually, so back when Twitter was functional platform, I had this not dream. The dream is exaggerating and hyperbolizing what this was, but I remember that I really wanted to make just a thread where each time I came up with a terrible groany pun, I would add to it. So I am going to read some of those. Also, AudiAT, we are still waiting for your joke. I kind of really want to know what that joke was. Um, Now, as we say in Spanish, nos has dejado con la miel en los labios. You've left us with the honey on our lips when you give us a taste of something. So yeah, I never actually published this thread on Twitter, probably for the good of everyone's sanity. But I did add it in my notes on my phone. So I've decided to start a thread to post terrible puns and jokes. A pun-fortunate decision, perhaps. What do you call it when people groan after I talk? A punishment. What do you call puns that don't elicit groans? Unappreciated. Okay, I'm going to stop being a disappointment now. And actually go on to do the task. There's actually way more people watching than I expected there to be, so I have indeed gotten very sidetracked by the chat, which I heavily appreciate. Also, apparently there are people watching on YouTube. So if you are watching on YouTube, I'm aware there's no actual chat on the screen. So if you want to kind of see what everything is about, you can go to twitch.tv draw curiosity. Oh, I also realized that it's kind of decided the name of my stream for me on YouTube. So wait a second, let me go fix that instead. If I can figure it out. Let's see. I'm going into my YouTube studio on not Draw Curiosity, but my little mini. Ah, there we go. So yeah, no, this video is not made for kids. I'm going to edit the title because this is not this trying Twitch for the first time. How dare you restream? And I want to add a description. Close. Okay. I'm gonna briefly answer the YouTube chat. Hi, twitch.tv/joking. Follow, like, chat. Okay. I did my dues. Oh wow, they're trying to. Sorry, I'm just amazed that people watch any of my stuff. So hi, Afikingly. Welcome to the chat. Okay, after Inés got sidetracked by the chat and tech problems for the third or fourth time in a row, the Adderall is kicking in. Oh yeah, this is the other key life change that has happened in my life. I was finally diagnosed with ADHD, and also it was a very amusing diagnosis. So when I finally got a doctor here in the US, other life update, I moved from Malaysia to Singapore to the US. And when I figured out health insurance here, I, met up with a doctor to transfer over any old prescriptions to the US system. And we had a spare 10 minutes at the end. And a lot of people close in my life have said, Inés, we think you may have ADHD. And honestly, this was a little bit like OCD until you actually learn what it is. I think it's quite common to have a misconception as to what it entails. So I thought, I don't think that's the case. But you know what? I'll bring it up to my doctor because we have spare time. And I'm paying for this appointment anyway. So I might as well bring it up and if it turns out it's not the case, I get it dismissed and I figure it out. Also, a lot of people apparently have a lot of trouble getting an ADHD diagnosis because Adderall is a Class A medication that's in shortage in the US, so they don't really want to have to prescribe it unless you really, really need it. But anyway, remember I mentioned this to the psychiatrist and he just looked at me and he said, "Yeah, I can see that." Um, which again, everyone who said they think I have ADHD, I say as I shuffle around in my seat because I am already reaching the restless point. Said, you see. So anyway, now I have Adderall, and I also wonder how different my channel would have been if I discovered Adderall 5 years earlier. If I discovered it, from the start of my life, who knows? Who knows where I'd be? But anyway, better later than never. Um, Hopefully, talking about Adderall does not count as substance abuse as per Twitch guidelines. I should probably also stop saying these things. Just dance streams, I imagine. You say that as a joke, but back when I first thought about live streaming, so back when I was in Singapore, I did a lot of pole dancing, and not just any old pole dancing, but I would just rent a studio overnight because I was trying to stay on US time. So 9 to 5 in the US is midnight to 6 a.m. in Singapore. And I'm naturally a bit of a night owl, so it's quite horrifying how well this worked for me. It was also during COVID, so there was nothing happening during the day that you weren't allowed to meet up with more than 2 to 4 other people. She has pole dancing videos on Instagram. Don't think it can happen here. I'm in the UK and keep getting suspected of autism by professionals, but literally no one follows through with it. The struggle with this sort of thing is real. Um, I will answer these in a moment. But yes, back when I was in Singapore, I did a lot of kind of renting my own space, doing some pole dancing. So it did occur to me, what if I streamed this? I'd probably have to wear, um, you know, there are like sexy pole dancing clothes and e-girl pole dancing clothes, and that's plain old we are doing sports and gymnastics pole dancing clothes. So I would definitely have to fall into this latter category because I don't really want to be hit with any sort of NSFW claims. Um, and indeed, I did end up not posting the poll stuff on Instagram anymore because people did get a bit weird about it. Um, but I still do it from time to time. Now I have learned to drive, so I can actually drive myself to a pole studio. So maybe I'll do that again. Mm, so to answer chat again, I'm in the UK and keep getting suspected of autism by professionals, but literally no one follows through with it. The struggle with that sort of thing is real. Honestly, yes, I agree. I am honestly I mean, come on, Joe Curiosity, if you think about it, is the most autistic possible concept. It is literally anything that has ever interested me enough to go on a deep dive, and I go and make a video about it. It is basically an autistic dream come true, if you think about it. But I've never actually pursued diagnosis. I mean, I have all of every single thing that could be associated with autism, such as comorbidities with ADHD and Tourette's, and like certain ways in which I performed academically and certain ways in which I was perceived socially at school, all of which heavily associated with autism. So probably is the case, but I think it's one of those things where I don't really know what I would do with a diagnosis if I did get it, because for the most part, I try to work for myself, and as my own boss, I will make all of my own accommodations. So I literally can't fire myself. Um, and when I have worked for other people, it's always been in a very academic context, which I think also tends to attract people with those tendencies. I started going to therapy recently and brought up I suspected autism and or ADHD, and the therapist already suspects it too. So let's see what happens. Hey, I think it's actually really nice when there's some validation in that aspect. So after this psy psychologist actually was a psychiatrist. I should know the difference a little bit better, but there is kind of a difference insurance wise with who can prescribe what in the US. So following this, I did eventually get back on the therapy train. Oh, which I have another random story. Does anybody remember BetterHelp? So I was never sponsored by them, so you never saw a video from them on my channel or anything like that. I know they were kind of a major sponsor of many channels in the past. They did actually offer to sponsor me at some point, but even though I never took the sponsor, I have actually used BetterHelp's services back when I was moving around during the pandemic because in-person therapy was impossible, and honestly, therapy is just a good thing to do. Anyway, literally 2 days ago, I got an email saying, "Hey, we noticed your email address was one of the people was on BetterHelp's database, and just in case you didn't know, the FTC recently sued them for many millions of dollars for selling the data of the people that were using their services, or kind of like handing this data to third parties. And the US is, I think, reasonably so, very touchy, HIPAA, HIPAA, I don't know, privacy and health records, because you wouldn't want your insurance company having more dirt on you than you need them to. I say, sharing the dirt to my first ever Twitch stream to my lovely 21 viewers. 21 viewers, that's crazy. Thank you so much. Um, so anyway, I got this email and I thought, oh, great, I'm gonna get some money here. Anyway, they said your PayPal is going to receive $9.72. I was like, great, data is not even worth double digits. But hey, it's something. In Husser, I last met you in Oxford, probably around 2017. Can you give me a recap what happened to you since then? Um, yes, I will try and TLDR this as much as possible because honestly, a lot has happened. Doug says bill paid. To be fair, me and a couple of friends who also got a refund, what we established is we could probably get some boba, one beverage in Southern California, and that's it. I currently have an obsession with a specific type of bell ringing, and all I talk about among friends is bells. I was really hoping that was going to be a joke at first, like, oh, yeah, that condition rings a bell. But yeah, that makes perfect sense in a like non-jokey and genuinely serious way. I think that has also been my kind of suspicion, that the tism is in me. I feel like when I like something, I just like it so much more than everyone else around me seems to like the thing. I don't know. I'm sure the ADHD contributes to this too. Okay, and now I last met you in Oxford, probably around 2017. Can you give me a recap to what happened to you since then? So 2017 is a very long time ago. I was a year out from finishing my PhD, which I handed it in. I ignored it for a few months because it took a long time to schedule my Viva. Then when I did eventually schedule the Viva, I passed. And I became Dr. Inés on Santa Inés because where I'm from in Spain, we celebrate Saints' Day. So the 21st of January 2019, I became Dr. Inés. Then I stayed in the UK for a year. I moved to Malaysia with the full intention of giving myself a sabbatical. So that final year of my PhD, I also actually, it doesn't look like it, but I did actually work really hard on YouTube and kind of a lot of other side projects. At the time, I was using YouTube as portfolio, and then companies would hire me to make things for them. So like I did that podcast for work and had a lot of other small appearances here and there. A lot of it was very internal projects. But anyway, I raked up a lot of kind of extra money because I had my stipend, and at the time I was in Europe, which unlike the US, has a much lower cost of living. Um, I've been going nonstop since I was 17, went straight into an undergraduate, went straight into a PhD program to not give myself a single break. So I figured maybe it was time for me to have my gap year. I hadn't had time, to spend with friends or with family or devote to other hobbies that I enjoy. So I moved to Malaysia to learn languages. I learned to dance. I did pole dance. I kind of basically did all of the fun things doing in order to finish my PhD. And don't get me wrong, like making stuff for the internet was really fun too, but it does take a lot of time. So it was kind of a very conscious decision. But if you look at the timeline, I did that in late 2019, which means my sabbatical was cut short by a certain virus. Hi, Ronnie de la Gente, welcome. Then in 2020, later on that year, COVID got worse. Um, so first of all, I lived by myself for 3 months in this penthouse in Malaysia that somehow I ended up renting, and then I ended up stranded, but in a good way, at an empty resort by um by some mangroves. So eventually there will be a video about this. So I was trying to do this collaboration with a charity. I did a bunch of work for them, and in exchange, they said I could stay at their resort. So this animal sanctuary charity, also owned a couple of hotels, and the profits from the hotel go towards feeding the animals at the animal sanctuary, paying the vet's bills, kind of compensating their staff, etc. So, they had a really neat system figured out, but of course, with COVID, um, Malaysia actually banned people from staying in hotels. So I was kind of unofficially staying there. I remember that the hotel, the guy who kind of managed the hotel, he gave me this giant keyring with keys on them. And he said, "All right, it's all yours. I'm going home because like you're the only person here. So figure out your stuff, buy your food, and yeah, every day I just kind of woke up and I took my camera down to the beach and I got so many videos of mud skippers and fiddler crabs and I got bitten by tons of sandflies and I saw mangroves. This is all going to become a video eventually, but there's just so much footage. It's one of those things that I just have to chip away at bit by bit. Hi John, welcome to the chat. Sorry, this recap ended up not being much of a TLDR as I promised. So that was the Malaysia portion of my life. Then I moved to Singapore and I got married. um, it's not been like super announced, but it has been mentioned on live stream because I remember the very last live stream I did was right after I got married, and y'all wanted to see the wedding photos. So if you go to the YouTube channel, Rhymes with Face, whatever's the previous live stream to this one, somewhere in there is that part. Hi, ECF Gamer. Good to have you here. Hi, Sirius 100. Enos. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Anyway, we're doing a recap of my life since 2017 because apparently that's when someone last saw me in Oxford. So we've reached the part where I get married in Singapore, and then I'm on a complete night owl schedule um, to match a US time zone. And then in mid 2021, I moved to Los Angeles. So now I'm living in Pasadena. Um, Hi James, welcome to the chat. Oh my God, 25 years. I am so delighted that everyone is here. Um, oh yes, that is indeed. I got my first spam. I don't know how to get rid of it though, but anyway, I'm sure there's a way, but we can just ignore spam. So yeah, then I moved to LA and I feel, let's see, LA has been a very interesting place. So I first went to LA in 2018 for VidCon. And actually, I did not go to LA. I went to Anaheim. But at the time, I didn't realize there was a difference between, LA County and Orange County. As far as I'm concerned, this was Southern California. Um, so I perceived it all as LA. I went with a lot of my Nebula friends, and I feel like everyone was there, for the fun of everything is big in America, and we can rent a sports car, and we're going to stay in the most extravagant Airbnb. So it was a lot of fun, but it's a very different life to Europe, definitely a very different life to Malaysia. Um, so I think I was apprehensive when moving back because, LA is often portrayed as being quite vapid and quite superficial, and everyone's very flaky. There's an Instagram account called Overheard LA, which talks about all the things that people often say, and they're not entirely wrong, but also have to say there's a ton of really good people in LA. And also, after moving around so much, it's been really, really, really lovely to just not have to move every year. Like I moved so many times at the end of my PhD, then I moved continents and country and continents again. So I feel it's the first time I've been able to settle down somewhere properly. Although I will say, major extrovert skills. Do you know how hard it is to start in three different countries during a pandemic and try and make friends and find things to do? It is hard. I don't know if I've necessarily succeeded, but anyway. So that's a brief recap. And then I had a few problems in LA, which we will not go into. But this year, I learned to drive. Somehow I have survived for 2 years without driving in LA, probably contributing even more so to the carbon footprint because all of my friends do like to drive, which makes sense because that's the only way you get to see me. And now I can drive myself. So that was like major paddle points on my end. And then finally, I'd been thinking about returning to YouTube for a while, but there was this clear notion that once I start, it is a treadmill. It's very hard to stop. I have to have a very clear plan. I didn't just want to make a video, post it, disappear, come back again. I kind of spent a while saving up money again and actually devoting the time to, okay, I'm going to actually go all in. And this time I'm going for a different strategy. So previously, I was using the YouTube channel as a little portfolio. So I wasn't super bothered by the fact that the channel itself might not make much money because it would get picked up by a lot of other clients. So I make money by giving talks and going to events and um, kind of making things for other people. But it did mess a lot with the consistency of the channel because obviously, if I am traveling for an event, it's kind of hard to also do other bits of work along the way. And don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed it. It was fun and fast paced, but it's a lot. So this time, I am actually trying to do the making the videos self sustainable on their own. So that's why I'm restructuring the Patreon slightly. I have a much clearer focus on videos. If I do anything external, I'm gonna be a lot more discerning as to, what I do and don't do. But yeah, I have a lot of fun things planned. I have Adderall, so I actually do think I'm gonna be able to stick to it way better. And yeah, that is the recap. And I guess this morning I woke up, did not have enough sleep, had a nap, and now we're here. Okay, calling control is in the mod tools for the chat. I don't know where, but it's there. Yeah, I can't believe the see chat settings. Catching up with, um, yeah, I don't, this will probably be something I figure out for the next one. But honestly, you'll agree, so I don't think there's much to worry about. Not driving in LA is amazing. I agree. I have to say, my state of mind before I knew how to drive, because I was number one passenger princess in LA, and because I didn't know how to drive, I really had no thoughts. I had a very happy existence in the passenger seat. Now that I do know how to drive, I know how close to death everyone is at all points in time. So, if I had to describe an LA driver, LA drivers are very good, but the speed limit is not a limit. It is a suggestion. It is a floor. FLOOR. And also FLAW. Um, you start driving at the speed limit. You don't stop when you reach the speed limit. Um, Perma road rage. Yes, everyone in LA is in a rush. Everyone behaves like they're the only singular person. A lot of people have sports cars and pickup trucks and just big SUVs, and you see people like zigzagging and weaving across so many different lanes all at the same time. Um, so, back when I was a passenger princess, I wasn't really paying attention to that. I was just, oh, parallax effect. Oh, listening to music. Oh, the clouds look really good in the sky. Ah, LA sunsets. Um, that was probably an accurate description of my thought process. And oh, I will chat to the driver so that he doesn't fall asleep at the wheel. Or if it's an Uber, this is a story for another time, but Uber drivers always talk to me, and they always like have a lot of weird things to tell me. I have so many strange Uber, even like the Ubers that I book that are supposed to be, a quiet drive. I don't know what it is about me, but people in LA just try and talk to me all the time. Maybe it's an LA thing. I don't know. Um, but yeah, now that I do know how to drive, I'm aware how I everyone thinks they're a good driver. If you ask most people how they drive, a surprising number of people think they're better than average, which is of course impossible because half people should be better than average and half should be worse than average. Oh, my thing reloaded. I thought my Twitch stream died, but it did not. Anyway, I'm someone who's fully cognizant of the fact that with my brand new driver's license, I'm a terrible driver. I did not pass the first time. Um, I still feel like I'm figuring out new things each time I drive. And in a very Socratic way, I'm just aware how much I don't know and how close to death I am each time I'm on the road. Which is another way in which Adderall has helped. I drive so much better. Adderall. Okay, good. I think it was just this page that reloaded. Um, there's a lot of things going on to set up this stream, which I, again, only kind of learned within the last 12 hours, and 8 of those I was asleep. So I'm kind of expecting it to break at any point. Um, anyway, yes, so I can drive now and slowly. Oh, and the other thing. Oh, okay. There are two other things I find insane about driving. I don't know if this is America or California or LA. But when I pass, so I barely passed my written test. To be fair, I did just get unlucky. Like this was a ton of questions. Like it's multiple choice. It will ask you something. If you get into an accident, oh, Banana Bar rated you with a party of 5 viewers. Oh my God, thank you so much. I have never had a raid before. Manzo F, hi, welcome to the chat. I guess to everyone who has suddenly joined, this is my first time ever streaming on Twitch, and my first time returning to the internet in like 3-ish years, 5 if we're talking about consistency. So if you're wondering what this is about, I was originally a science YouTuber, and I'm coming back to doing that. But it takes a long time to make science videos, and I thought a fun way to kind of still make things and not just kind of come up for water every few weeks would maybe to trial a Twitch stream kind of thing. And today I'm in a very chatty mood, but I also want to try Pomodoro style things. Cute. I am having a great time. So yeah, here's my little spiel for everyone who just joined anew. And now we go back to the topic I was just talking about, which is LA drivers and things I find nuts about driving here. Um, so the first thing, I barely passed my writing test. Again, multiple choice questions. It's like, okay, you have an accident. How fast do you report it to the DMV? In 12 hours, 24 hours, 36 hours, 72 hours? I don't know which one I put, but I mean, you know, kind of regardless of which one you pick, I don't think it matters. and honestly, I still don't know what the right answer is. I feel like if I had an accident, I would report pretty much within the day. So in practice, I would have still gotten the right answer. But anyway, there were a bunch of questions like that at the very start of my test. And I think I made 6 mistakes, and if you make 7, you have to retake it. So then I spent the rest of the 30 questions with a big anime style sweat drop. Like, oh, really can't make a mistake, really can't make a mistake. Then the rest of the questions were all the, you know, easy to answer ones. What do you do when you see an amber light? Proceed with caution. Accelerate. The LA answer is you accelerate. I hate it. I just thought it was funny because all of the options that appear is what everyone in LA does, except actually slow down for the amber light. So first one, you can pass the written test super easily, and when you pass it, and if you're an adult, you don't have to go to driving school. I did not go to driving school. I got taught by my friends and partner. Which again, in Europe, you have to do a mandated number of hours of driving school. Here, no one cares. As long as someone's in the car, I can drive on the road from the start on your learner's permit. So that was one of the things that really struck me about Southern California. I could just have it just really shouldn't happen. And then secondly, and this scares me more as a European. So again, when I mentioned speed limit seemed like a suggestion here. Red lights are kind of also a suggestion. You can turn right on red, which you cannot do in Europe. When the light is on red, you can't turn right and mow down some pedestrians. Not only that, when you can turn right on red, when it turns green, it's also green for the pedestrians. So you still have to be very cautious when turning right because you could just legitimately flatten someone. Again, this is the US, so are there many people using crosswalks as zebra crossings? No. And as a European who now knows how to drive, I also don't want to be crossing roads because I know how dangerous it is and how hard it can be to see people at times. Anyway, that being said, no one has died on the roads as a result of me being on the road. Okay, sorry, I'm going to catch up with chat. I went on a long diatribe about driving. I could never have lived in the same house all my life. Well, you know what? The first 17 years of my life, I lived in the same house. My parents never moved. They don't travel very much. I mean, honestly, they live in Seville. Why would you? I get it. So I feel like I only started moving around when I left, and some of that was also, I see all my parents are quite on the older side. On the off chance my parents are watching, I'm not calling you old, but objectively, my parents are a lot older than the average person's parents, and they're great. So I kind of understand that older people settle down, and I think that also influenced the whole, okay, I'm young, I need to get all of the life experiences possible and live in different places if I have the chance to, because I might not have that energy in the future. Can you even get around LA without driving? This is a good question. Well, I did it for 2 years. You can get around in LA without driving if A, you have friends who love driving, and it is true, a lot of people that I know do really like driving. There's also this thing I joke about with my partner. So we do have a car, and my big contribution to this car was I negotiated the price of the car down by $6,000. So I joked that, I needed $6,000 in rides to places, but I now drive myself to places. Um, and this might be a controversial statement, but public transport, even though it's not great here, it could be worse. Like, I live in Pasadena, which has a decent bus and subway connection. It does take around an hour and a half minimum to get to anywhere, whereas I feel in most European cities or London or Singapore, I'd probably be looking at a radius of about 45 minutes to get to somewhere of like a similar equivalence. And okay, it's like 20 minutes driving. Unless there's traffic, then it doesn't matter. Um, so, it could be worse, but again, I'm a European who is very used to public transit and couldn't drive, so I was pretty good at that. Moving to the US and visa stuff is a large reason why I stopped making YouTube videos. Once I got my green card, I got back on the Christmas train. I've gone live from my lab a few times now. Congratulations! Hey, you mentioned visa stuff. Why does this sound so familiar? I'm not going to talk about my that actually was one of the reasons too that I paused. Part of it was, oh yeah, so during the pandemic, um, when I was in Malaysia, Al Jazeera produced this documentary where basically they were showing how Rohingya refugees were being mistreated during the pandemic by the authorities. And kind of the response from the government was to ban journalism. And, I don't know if YouTube videos would have counted as journalism. It would kind of be up to the immigration officer. So I didn't really want to get on the bad side of a country with an expired, where I was holding an expired visa, not on purpose. Immigration and the airport was closed, and they kind of automatically extended everyone's visa. And I'm also trying to, you know, maintain legal status in Singapore. So, I just kind of didn't want to rock the boat, and especially if I'm crossing a country with a camera and like 10 hard drives, it does kind of look like I'm a journalist. And then in the US, the way, I mean, I'm not going to explain visa stuff here because we're all going to get bored and not to leave with a degree in immigration law. But basically, I have a visa here that lets me work, but I had to apply for said right to work. And during COVID, bureaucracy for everything took much, much longer. So yeah, that was also part of the reason why I paused, but it's kind of a boring reason. Perma road rage. You know what? Yes, I drove the other day to K-Town. If you mention K-Town to anyone in LA, um, everyone will go, ugh, no, not K-Town. The parking is terrible. And yeah, I think I almost crashed, or someone almost crashed into me. I don't actually know. I did not see a car come close to me, but I did hear the honk, and I did see the guy drive past me and roll down his window and try and flip me off. And I'm a very, I don't want to encourage anyone's road rage, so I just kind of kept my eyes on the road. I had a left turn turning up. I didn't want to hit another car. I do kind of suspect that guy was doing like a weavy thing and um, was annoyed that, how dare the car in front do what the car in front is supposed to do. Um, so yeah, I feel like I've finally subjected myself to someone else's road rage by driving to K-Town. I get it, Caracas might not be as big, but it's just permanent traffic 24/7. Basically, everyone always says, oh, in LA, you only you don't talk about how far away somewhere is by distance, you talk how far away somewhere is by time. And if it's between 8 a.m. and 7:30 p.m., with a little dip during the day, it's rush hour. And it's pretty much permanent rush hour at this point. So if you want to get from one side of town to another, that's over an hour. When it can be 20 minutes when you're driving late at night. So once again, being a night owl wins the day or the night again, because I pretty much only drive. Also, I like driving at night. I thought I would hate it because of the lower visibility, and I will say, people crossing the road at night is terrifying because it's really hard to see what people look like. But I do like driving at night because you can always see the lights of other cars. There's usually a lot more space. And, if I need to drive a bit faster, there's not going to be anyone in my way. And hey, if there are people trying to go fast and overtake, I can literally stay in my lane and everything is fine. So yes, night driving for the win. The stream has been solid. How's Cam 2? So yeah, as you can see, I'm a little bit behind in chat. We can do second cam for a little bit. Oh, Let's see. Are you gonna open OBS? Okay, well, Cam2 is still working. Also, has my accent changed? I feel like I have a slightly more Americanized accent because I notice I say star first, which is a very kind of American Atlantic drift to the accent. What you did not witness was my accent changed a lot when I moved to Malaysia. I had like 5 minutes of speaking in British English, and I realized that people couldn't understand me. And I don't know why, I just immediately adopted a Malaysian and Singaporean accent. Um, I can't put it on demand, so I'm not going to try. Um, but I don't know, it's pretty incredible. Like if someone speaks to me in a Singaporean accent, I will code switch and I'll be able to talk back. But I was trying desperately not to sacrifice my British accent here because there's more American accents. So okay, we're gonna do Cam 2 for a little bit. If you want Cam 1 back, I can switch it back. Then we had the raid arrive. I don't know if anyone from that raid is still here or not. If you are, thank you so much. That is really appreciated. Also, we're at 46 followers. So I don't know. When I signed up to Twitch, it was like, you want to be an affiliate, you have to reach 50 followers and a bunch of other requirements. Um, but yeah, 46 is so close to that number. And 26 viewers is also like a lot. Basically, I think the requirements right now are I have to have 3 concurrent viewers, so 26 is already like wow. And stream on 7 different days, so I have reached minimum stream time. I don't know that I can be chatty for 8 hours straight every time, but as you can probably tell, I was kind of excited about this, so it's worked out fine. And no roundabouts. I hate four-way intersections. Yes. Actually, so I don't know why Google Maps here calls roundabouts. Take the third exit on the traffic circle. Um, oh, once again, one of the things about the driving tests here. Anyone can pass the written test. Anyone can pass the driving test. Um, and it's pretty, sorry, I heard a dog. Kind of, you don't really have to do much to pass. You don't have to go onto a freeway, which is pretty much essential LA driving. So the fact that I encountered a traffic circle like substantially after passing my test, I remember thinking, oh, well, I guess I'm learning every day. Same day I encountered roadworks and like people signaling to the cars. Four-way intersections, oh, I hate those too. I always think I'm going to die. I hate unprotected left turns. I think I just hate driving. Um, most people hate the wait. I'm just scared that someone impatient is going to hit me as I'm going. I live in rural UK. Some villages around me have a once a day bus, and that's about it. In Spain, it's really, really similar. Um, because, sure, if you're in the main metropolis, which admittedly I'm from Seville, and Seville, I mean, Seville has a decent public transport system. Where I live specifically, it's actually away from a lot of the major kind of central. Even with that in mind, it's pretty easy for me to get around the city. But there are, for example, so if anyone ever tells me that they're going to Seville and they're going to be there for longer than 4 or 5 days, I always tell them to try and if they're not vegetarian, I want them to try the best pork possible, jamón ibérico. And there is a city that's a 1 hour bus ride from Seville, probably I don't know if it's a shorter or longer drive because again, I only just learned how to drive. But there's only 2 of these buses a day. So you do have to be very cautious about making it to the bus stop and getting back in time, otherwise you will be stranded for the night. But it's still worth it. I don't know what village in the it feels like it's such a long time since I've last been in the UK as well. I also kind of understand Americans' hype with the UK and Europe too. Like it's so far away and everything here truly is not old at all. Like architecture is kind of lacking in many places, maybe less so on the east side, but I a lot of things that Americans have conveyed to me in the past suddenly make a lot more sense now that I'm living here. LA public transport sounds like public transport in Reykjavik. I will mention this to LA County. You are being compared to one of the harshest weather places on the planet, with a country that I think Iceland is 360,000 people, or is that just Reykjavik? I remember reading this recently because I'm going to Iceland soon, for some videos. You heard this on stream first as a reward for listening to me talk for 1 hour straight. There was a there was a popular post in our Los Angeles the other day titled, "Hi Staticaster, hope you're doing well. Where do people park in K-Town?" I actually love the subreddit Los Angeles. Um, there was some satirical. So there are a lot of people, they're coming to move to LA. They're like, "This is my combined salary," quote, super high numbers, but budgets are tight. Do you think I can find an apartment for price at which rent does absolutely not exist in LA, unfortunately? Oh, sorry. Um, and oh, this my husband's an actor and works here, and I work down in the south of LA. Would this third random city be the best place to commute to either? And all the comments of everyone who I guess lives in LA are like, "Oh God, no, you're gonna have the worst commute of your life. No, 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 do not do this. Please manage your expectations for the rent, blah, blah, blah." Yes, your accent has changed slightly. Um, so I did mention earlier, I think my accent has become slightly more Americanized. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Sometimes if I listen to a lot of British, I can reacquire my previous accent. But sometimes I think the American R's, I think are a little bit clearer for me to hear. I got rated. I did. I got rated by 5 people. Um, And I don't know if any of the 5 people are still here, but if you're still here, thank you so much. I think cam 2 drops more frames. Okay, I will switch back to cam 1. Um, you can see how slow I'm making it through the chat. And that kind of makes sense. So cam 2 is literally my tablet, and it is the last time I streamed multicam, which was in 2021. I was doing this little crafting thing, and I remember I wanted to cast like the camera from my phone to OBS, and that's what I was doing. So I think it works by it creates a central server on my laptop to anything that's connected to the same Wi-Fi. So it does not surprise me that it would drop frames. It's actually surprising to me that it's working at all because the screen is off, and it's not really giving me any visual indication that it's recording. So that's kind of not great from a like hackery perspective. Your accent changes mid-sentence sometimes. Probably. We are still here. You're welcome, Ines. Oh my God, thank you, Mr. Ridos. I really appreciate that. Was that a dog we heard in the background? Definitely not. Um, I love dogs, and if I had a dog, you would know. Also, I had a nap earlier. Um, and I dreamt that I was looking after my friend's French bulldog, who's called Lucy. I did look after her once, in the past. She's a very adorable dog. I'm not even like a big bulldog, boxer, etc. Kind of lover, but I truly do just love bulldogs. I don't really have the means or the space personally to look after a dog. I still travel and move around enough good environment for a dog. So I make do with pet sitting for my friends, and I get the best of both worlds. I get to enjoy being with a dog in a responsible, contained manner, and they get all of my attention and love and get to be a very happy dog for those few days, but I don't have to worry about, you know, if I travel, what am I going to do with the dog? Is someone going to look after it properly? Is it going to have enough space to run around? Also, again, I'm a night owl, so I'm never awake early enough to walk a dog consistently early on. Someone asked what's the name of the village. Haven't been to Sevilla yet. Yes, so we're talking about the amazing village with the best ham. I'm gonna type it in the chat because that village is called Aracena. Aracena. There are other villages too, but I'm pretty partial to Aracena because there's a direct bus from Seville. Or at least I'm assuming there's still a direct bus from Seville. Maybe someone from Seville will be able to confirm this for me. I feel like it's been a while since I've been there, but I would be very surprised if it doesn't exist anymore. They have a Museo del Jamón, a ham museum. Um, Also, Galaroza, although that one is way harder to reach by bus, so that's probably a time where a driver's license comes in handy. They're also one of the kind of ham capitals, and it's in Galaroza where I again, if you're vegetarian, I'm sorry because this is very. I'm from Spain and we love every part of the pig. Um, but we really do eat everything. I feel like if you're going to be a carnivore, at the very least, you have to eat every single part of the animal in question and not turn your nose up. And we really do that in Spain. Like we love pig cheeks, we love ears. And one of the most random parts of the pig that we eat that is quite the delicacy and that cannot be eaten anywhere else are salivary glands. I can actually literally see the viewer count dropping as I talk about eating pork. So, okay, point taken. Sometimes that one bus a day just doesn't show up too. Kind of just have to drive around here. You do really hate when that happens. When I was in Malaysia, um, so I didn't have a license there. This was probably the first country where maybe knowing how to drive would have been good. Ubers were so cheap. Well, they use Grab, which is kind of the Southeast Asian version of Uber. So it would start at 5 ringgits. I think the most I've paid on a local ride was 10 to 15, including tip. Um, so that works out to kind of $1 to $3, which is what I would be happily spending on a bus or a subway system anyway, except I get to be dropped door to door, if I was in Malaysia. Um, but apparently, there are mythical buses that go to some places that were outside of the city I was in, like some of the national parks. And everyone would say, these buses don't show up. I think in the entire year, well, let's say the 5 months, because obviously COVID started and there weren't going to be buses running then. But, pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, I only saw, these mythical buses once or twice. I never tried getting a ride or going into them because I was too scared of getting stranded. And again, the kind of Grab Uber system worked really well. Do you speak posh? I remember that stream. Oh, and thank you for being in that stream. I should stream more, I guess. Um, I don't know if I speak posh. I think my British accent is probably considered posh because it's kind of non-regional. It's the BBC British Broadcasting Channel accent, which is the Queen's English. I have an alarm going off. I have like 500 alarms to manage my ADHD. This alarm had zero reason to go off. Um, I forgot my train of thought. So that alarm did. Oh yes, my accent. I don't know. I always think my accent sounds posh when I listen to it. That's one of the other things about editing videos. You kind of have to listen to yourself for quite a while. And I mean, you get used to it eventually, but I'm like, wow, I sound like such a prissy little person when I have the super posh accent. And I think my accent in Spanish is also very correct and prissy too. My parents, I didn't mention them earlier. They do come from the My Fair Lady era where your accent determines your class. So I definitely remember as a child being corrected on how to pronounce everything. Isn't loser cruiser an LA slang for the bus? Oh my God. I haven't heard that, but I can perfectly imagine people saying that, unfortunately. Um, there's definitely a class difference in who takes public transport and as a status thing to have a car and to be able to drive yourself around. Um, and I mean, objectively, I would say actually I quite like the buses. There, if I ever have to go to central LA, one of my doctors is in central LA. She's on Olympic Boulevard. Each time I arrive, there's a little notice in the lift saying, towing begins at 3 p.m., no exceptions, aka do not park on the street. Um, and I remember leaving once at 3 p.m. and observing this Tesla getting immediately towed on the road, along with a whole line of cars that had illegally street parked. So, it's just an area of town that even now that I can drive, I would just never want to drive to this doctor. Because I would be, I don't know, I just think I would crash into the other cars that are in a hurry whilst I'm figuring out parking or where to go. So this is one of those situations where I would take a bus. And honestly, even though driving is shorter, I mean, I can work on the bus. I can get my little tablet and type things up. I don't know, I feel like my attention is not divided. So I do enjoy Loser Cruiser. The subway can sometimes be a little bit more dangerous. Nothing's ever happened to me on the subway, but I have seen some things on the subway. So I guess, I always flag that up when people visit. Like, you can take the subway, it's probably fine if you're street smart, but don't expect it to be a nice, safe place. Like Singapore subway is the cleanest, most efficient, safest place ever. The LA subway, by contrast, is derelict, never on time, definitely not clean. Camped you had a pretty good answer. Well, I can switch back and forth. Would you say you're a dog or a cat person? I am definitely a dog person. Don't get me wrong, I love cats. But I think if, if my living circumstances were no object, I would be delighted to have a dog. But I probably wouldn't go out of my way to have a cat. But when it comes to pet sitting, I happily pet sit dogs and cats. I love petting dogs and cats, and I can appreciate that a lot of people like keeping cats because they are a little bit more autonomous and sort of take care of themselves a bit better. But I'm definitely a lot more of a dog person. I think dog personalities gel better with me. A dog can bark at me and clearly not like me, and I will still love the dog. Whereas I guess if a cat doesn't like me, I'm probably just going to ever see the cat ever again. So 4 more followers until we can tier 3 sub, huh? Um, I think again, I actually wrote down the guidelines because when I signed up to Twitch, it told me what the thresholds were. We need 50 followers, 3 away. I'm actually so surprised. Stream for 8 hours. I've done 1 hour 20. So actually that's not too bad. Stream on 7 different days. So hey, I hope you're ready to see me every day this week. And an average of 3 viewers. This one actually is the one I'm most pleasantly surprised by. Like there's been consistently over 15 people here. So that means a lot. Thank you so much for tuning in and not getting bored of me. I'm assuming some people have probably just had it on in the background at work, but yeah, this is great. This is lovely. I'm actually, okay, I kind of get this now. It's fun. I have a dog. He likes to steal buckets, like buckets of water. And I feel like I would keep fish in a bucket. I don't fish. I mean, we do like when dogs do that. He also likes to nick towels, sheets, and gloves. One of the dogs I used to dog sit really liked socks. Ended up having to get a new sock collection after this dog, but it's okay. She was a cutie. Yeah, I've heard of it. Ain't gonna go in the summer though. I'm not insane. The 40 degrees of Madrid are cozy enough. Yes, very valid. I feel Seville is probably the Europe. Um, so pretty valid to not want to go to Seville, and also Aracena is also Andalusia. I think Aracena wouldn't be as warm as Seville because it is in Sierra Morena, which is not really a mountain range, it's like 800-meter hills in the south of Spain. Your British accent is close to the one that Dua Lipa has. You might have the London variant. I do have a primarily Southern English accent, but I do say things like branch, which is how my mum pronounces those words of England. So everyone thinks I'm London-ish until they've spoken to me for a while, and then there's a few non-regional things that start not making sense. I've never considered your accent completely British, but that you definitely speak British English. I could see that. I want to tell, I feel like all of my local friends have probably heard the story at some point, but it's not on the internet. So I remember the very first time that I moved here in mid 2021, and I went to Target or Target the first time. Um, Again, suddenly a lot of pop culture references and references that people make in discussion boards and Reddit and YouTube videos. We're gonna go to Target to find this thing. Made a lot of sense. I was like, wow, what a cool department store. Um, so I remember distinctly going in with my partner and we wanted to get one thing and very quickly that one item became a pile of items. But of course, because we went in planning on getting one thing, we didn't have a basket. So I figured I would stand next to the pile of shame whilst my partner went off to find a container to put it in, so kind of sheepishly standing around next to the stuff. And I see this shop assistant walking towards me in beeline, sort of like, what's that pile of crap? And he comes over and he's like, "Ma'am, is that stuff yours?" Sorry for the terrible American accent. And I remember thinking, okay, better not sound foreign. He's like, "Yeah, yeah, my husband is just getting a trolley." I try to say it in the most American way possible. And he looks at me and he's like, "You're not from here, are you?" And I was like, "How do you know?" I was like, "Well, we don't say trolley, we say couch." So caught in the action. Anyway, the basket or the cart or the trolley did arrive and we were out of trouble. I'm more of a dog person, but I also really like snakes. You know what? I like snakes too. Again, I don't actually have any pets right now. When I was in Singapore, I had Snoomba, the giant snail. And when I was in Malaysia, I had Siput, another giant snail who unfortunately passed during the pandemic. Not of COVID, but I don't know, maybe Siput did get snail COVID. I still have the shell. Snoomba is thriving, alive, and well. Snoomba is a giant African land snail, which is illegal in the US. So we homed it to. We found this lady who has a few snails for her children, and she takes really good care of Snoomba. I get lots of photos through WhatsApp of my dear snail. So that's the last time I've had a pet. I hope you do stream for the next few days. I am off work. I will do my best to. Um, I always get very nervous about live streaming. I think now that it's kind of a while in and everything seems to be working, and y'all are great, y'all are really sweet. And that helps a lot. I think and I'm kind of pleasantly surprised that the technology hasn't crashed because I thought this was going to be a troubleshooting session where I would just be typing around trying to figure out how to fix things. OMG, yes, it's fun, right? Dragon Bro is one of the people who's been trying to get me to stream for a while. Water buckets for water and stuff. He's always liked red and orange ones. So one of the video ideas that I have been wanting to make, amongst the Inasis trying to get her Twitch numbers to affiliate level or whatever. But also in terms of Inés is trying to figure out, can she get back into talking to camera? I'm also have to get my YouTube monetization back. Turns out if you don't make videos for 3 years, I'm actually most of the way there, which is the most shocking part. Like the residual views on Draw Curiosity have pretty much gotten the watch time not too far away from the threshold, but right now I can't run adverts. And AdSense does, I mean, it's not the best pay in the world, and I know that adverts are a pain in the ass, but um, very little helps, so to speak. So I try, um, I've been just, trying to figure out how long can I talk to a camera? Can I get my monetization back? But for when I do get it back, I do have a video idea where I want to talk about animal vision because I did it for the snails and I want to do it for dogs as well and other popular pets. I really went down the rabbit hole of making videos about vision. One of the talks that I used to give at conferences would be this 1 hour talk called Vision Impossible, the quest to who sees best. And, some portions of it have made it into miniature videos. I also find it very interesting that I got very obsessed with vision because I'm a little bit squeamish about eyes. And one of my sort of exposure therapy, so to speak, back when I was actively going to therapy for OCD, this was kind of like a side fear, so I would work on that. But yeah, basically I would read about eyeballs and vision and eye conditions to sort of overcome that squeamishness, and I think it's honestly worked pretty well. I'm even considering LASIK now. LASIK was one of those things that just the thought of it would make me want to throw up. So the fact that I've gone from LASIK is a topic that I can't think about to what if I got LASIK? And I'm thinking this because I'm now over the age threshold where my vision is a lot more stable. And I don't know, I like myself with glasses, but it's actually really hard to find glasses. Apparently, my face is really narrow, so I have to wear children's glasses, but children's glasses, they look like they're for kids. So, it's kind of once every 5 years that I find a pair of frames that vaguely suit me. Um, but anyway, wow, I really do go off on some tangents here. Oh, okay, yeah. You're right. Actually, the notifications have been bothering me too. So let me, I'm also going to drop the stream link. I'm live on Twitch. There is a Discord for Draw Curiosity for patrons, um, which I'm currently rehauling. So even though I'm announcing this like quite late, but how do I do? Sometimes, sometimes I feel like I'm a tech wizard because I figured out the OBS stuff reasonably fast. It's probably not me being a tech wizard and probably the fact that this has been optimized for everyone who does this. Okay, I've posted in Discord. And then other times I feel like a tech grandma because I briefly forget how to do the aroba. Um, to be fair, that's not because I don't know how to do an aroba, but because an English keyboard, a Spanish keyboard, and a US keyboard all have the aroba in different places. And I never remember which keyboard I'm on. So, Seville with a nice 45 degrees in the shade in summer. Yeah, Seville is an oven. I remember I moved, one of the reasons we chose LA was because supposedly the climate is sort of similar to Seville. It's dry, it's warm in the summer, mild in the winter, but honestly, we made it to 50 followers! Oh my god! Hooray! Thank you so much! Oh my god, okay, sorry. Moment of excitement continues, but I will also finish my thought. It's really hard to manage several trains of thought at the same time, spoken as a true ADHD person. But yeah, LA is definitely colder than Seville, and I don't know if it's just chillier because climate change has been weird especially the last few years here. But I guess overall people do like that more because actually no one likes Seville's extreme heat. Oops, sorry. I like it though. I'm more up north, but I pronounce things in a more southern way. That makes sense. I just remember having this really conscious decision when I was 6 years old. My dad would say Bath, branch, and my mom would say Bath and branch, and in Spain, an A is pronounced A. So I thought, well, that makes way more sense than the the Spanish way than it does this kind of posh awe kind of way. And then I made that choice, and I guess I have internalized it now. I didn't know what a Ralph's was for ages until I got here, and I was always so confused on Tumblr. You know what? I think that is true too, because I didn't know what a Ralph's was either. So I think whenever I saw Ralph's, I just assumed that was a name. But I do remember Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's was one of the first places that we also went to. Um, and I'm trying to think, I don't know, what other iconic Safeway, and there's one more, but its name is evading me because I don't Walmart, because I don't there's actually no Walmarts near me, so I've not been to a Walmart since moving. Um, but I have been to Walmart when I visited Seattle for a conference a few years ago. That's a fun American accent. I will probably not do too many American accents. Illegal, just like the speed limit. Wink, wink. Very true. Apparently, only Hawaii has this snail. So I realized this because I'm kind of very behind on chat. It's kind of a little bit out of order. I will, even if I had illegally smuggled the snail in, which seems like a bad idea, explaining that to immigration if they catch it. Um, Part of the reason that I kept the snail. So for context, this snail I found on the street. um, s- Actually, both of them. So Siput, I remember I was going to my pole dance class and I snail right next to my foot, and it was also right next to a busy road. So I scooped it up and I had it in this tray previously. So I just had the snail on the tray whilst doing pole and checked on it every 5 minutes or so to put it back in the center of the tray so it wouldn't wander off. And then I figured out a terrarium situation for it. The Singapore one. So that snail was massive. I want to say it was maybe not quite as big as this, but it occupied the most part of my hand. There's photos of Snowma somewhere. I might scroll back to 2020, early 2021. Um, so Snowma, I genuinely don't know where Snowma came from, how Snowma was alive. Um, Singapore is a very urbanized place, and where I was it was surrounded by construction work, cars, buses, and it was just kind of in the middle of a very tiny delta. There wasn't really enough grass. So I have no idea how Snumba crossed the road to be there and not get run over, or how Snumba survived. But anyway, I saw Snumba, so cute. I gasped. I picked Snumba up in my hand, and I just kind of carried Snumba along, and I realized it was 8:55 p.m. and we were right next to a pet store, which closed at 9 p.m. So we went into the pet store, and I had Snumba in my hand. So I had Snumba behind my back because I thought it was maybe a bit weird to walk into a store with a snail. And, I was wandering around looking for terrariums, and I asked the shop assistant, do you have terrariums and what different sizes do you have? And she said, oh, what is the size of your pet? And I was like, this size, I guess. So eventually the snail made the appearance and we took the biggest terrarium home. And Snumba was kind of set up for life since then. So hopefully that's one invasive species off the streets of Singapore, but you're doing great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm not really sure how I'm usually pretty terrible at chatting to, well, I mean, I know it's not chatting to myself, but usually I'm someone who doesn't mind hearing voice messages but will type things in return. So for me to be doing the blabbing and to be reading things is kind of the opposite to how I usually do things. But hey, this is seems to be working fine. I'm having a good time. I'm getting oh yeah, good. I'm gonna close my Discord. Sorry, that was the thing that keeps overriding everything. Oh no, where did my go? Here it is. Oh, that's what it is. I'm not on Discord. Yeah. Okay, I'll do a brief Discord plug. So for now, the Discord is pretty much for Patreons. Again, this was kind of when I first started Patreon. Patreon was like, "Hey, you should plug a Discord server into your Patreon." Um, and in the true ADHD thing, I'm like, if I don't do the thing now, I'm not going to ever do it. So I just figured it out then. But at the time, I didn't really know what Discord entailed, which I think is fine. I don't, well, I've now come to discover way more about Discord because a lot of Americans use it, so I've joined a bunch of local communities, and now I see all of the things that Discord could be, and I feel very silly for how I've been running the Draw Curiosity one because I just thought it was like a chiller version of Slack, which it kind of is, but I didn't do much with it, and now I'm actually, planning a much better rehaul. So right now, I think it is a Patreon only thing. Apparently, Twitch also allows you to add people, so I don't really know how that works. So I guess this is, the plug if you like my stuff and you want to, you can join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month, and you get Discord access. But there's no obligation. You can wait until I make more videos. If money is tight or you just don't want to, that's fine too. And if you do, hey, it helps me out a lot because LA rent is expensive. But anyway, that's what was making a noise. Alas, it was not the Draw Curiosity server making notification sounds. I'm actually not sure what was making notification sounds, so hopefully I'm not missing. Right. I also have to get narrow glasses, but for a different reason. Prescription was so high that my eyes and face looked like glasses. I kind of get that too. I feel like my face looks like a figure of eight when I wear glasses because you can see the sides of my face. I also have a pretty high prescription. But it kind of sounded wrong to say, well, I also want LASIK for vanity reasons. My face looks like a figure of eight. I don't know. I feel like I've never been a particularly vain person, but even LA rubs off on you after a while. Um, LASIK is based on bad science and complications are quite common and causing people major problems. I agree there's a reason I am thinking about it. I do have ophthalmologist friends who, obviously they see all the times that it goes wrong, so they're pretty against it. But also a lot of things have improved. So, the kind of LASIK that gave me the ick in the past, um, and I'm sorry if anyone else is squeamish about this, but it was the version where they cut the flap, they flip it over, they do stuff, and then the flap goes back, and then that flap has to heal. So obviously that can cause scar tissue and a much higher rate of complications. Now I believe it is a laser that goes beep boop for 10 or so seconds, maybe less, and you're fine afterwards in most cases. But I agree it's true, you don't necessarily know um, if you're going to react or respond well to it. Some people can have kind of weird immune or inflammation responses to surgeries or procedures, and I don't know, my luck, it could be me. And the other thing I was told is that it does make cataract calculations later in life harder. And obviously, not everyone is eligible for LASIK anyway if your eye is not the right shape. It might be possible, it might be that you can't do it anyway. So I don't know. The LASIK is in the early consideration phase for me. Um, it probably wouldn't even be in the consideration phase if contact lenses worked for me. But the reason they don't work is because my astigmatism happens to be at an angle that no contact lens company like fully corrects it. So I get approximations. And that is why I'm always wearing glasses in my videos because I can't read with contacts. Probably not getting LASIK anytime soon, though. Just a thought. I think arroba is just a Spanish thing. Oh yeah, the arroba is the symbol, the A. Huzzah, yay, yes, the 50 followers. I'm very happy. Tier 3 subbing. I don't think I can do subscriptions yet. And to be fair, I would also wait till I'm more consistent. This has been a good and a strong start, though. Hi, Sadai. Sorry, I see a lot of people. I'm really behind on chat, but I'm catching up. Welcome, Sadai. And hi, Shekel. Ooh, new next live stream. As with all new Twitch channels, have to manually turn on VODs so we can check the past broadcast tab. Oh, how do I do that? Again, very new to Twitch, so I don't actually know how to do that. And maybe, so I'm pretty sure this is recording, and it is going to, exist on my Rhymes with Face channel. I don't know if I'm going to keep it up forever or maybe unlist it. I'm definitely going to keep all the VODs for, I don't know, whichever Patreon tier makes sense. But if it's possible for me to keep the VOD even though the stream already began, that would be great. And if anyone knows how to do that, and you can type it in chat, that would be great as well. La Nina is about to start in the Pacific Ocean. It does things to the weather in California. That is true, but LA has had odd weather. Last year there was a lot more rain than usual. 2 years ago, the winter was really cold. And I mean, it's May right now, and a lot of us are still using heaters more days than not. The day I went to the Ren Fair was the coldest day in history. I did not move to LA to be cold. Check on the snail to make sure it doesn't run away. Oh no, I cannot do voice messages, too introverted. But when I do, then I send some 3-minute monstrosities because I cannot shut up. And I feel like I'm the same. I get the little panicky of, oh, okay, I guess I'm talking processing live, I guess. So, and I feel like this is what this live stream has been. It's just a big word dump as I try and go through everything. You give my face a solid 9.5. I appreciate that. The phlegm. I'm sorry. Um. Uh-huh. Okay. It is still cutting. That makes sense. Personally, I would still trust a laser over a scalpel, but yeah, valid. Okay. Thridel, thanks for the live stream. It's 1:40 a.m. in the UK, and I do need to go to bed. You've probably already gone to bed, or at least I really hope you've gone to bed. But thank you so much. Also, you were follower number 50, so thank you. And yeah, I hope you have a really good night's sleep. I don't know what sort of times I'm going to be streaming. A lot of it is more contingent on whether I'm alone. I'm someone who feels very awkward about talking out loud. If there's someone in the background who can listen to me. But anyway, I will figure that out. I'll try different times. I've had a few people mention when I mentioned this on Instagram, that what their preferred time zones were, and they're pretty disparate, but I also have a interesting sleep schedule. So I'll try different times and see what works, and probably will kind of be a whenever thing. James, I've always liked your illustrations. Have you tried Blender for making animations? Interesting you ask. So I will say the illustrations that you see on stream right now, I did not make those. Those were made by Garo Wado. And my main intro animation, 51 followers. Doom is dead. Oh my god! Thank you so much. Welcome, welcome. The what's it called? The little intro animation and the bouncing sheep is also made by an animator. But pretty much everything else I do always make myself. I've considered Blender. I probably have to sit through a lot of tutorials for that, and I don't see myself having time for that in the immediate future because I'm currently kind of upgrading some recording skills in other areas, but it is something I'm considering. Right now, I edit in DaVinci Resolve, and I'm a big fan of Fusion as well. And I think Fusion and Blender pretty similar. Blender's probably better because it's proprietary software to make all 3D stuff. Fusion is more special effects, and this is the little integrated version in DaVinci. Say for me, but I'm in a master's degree and my sleep schedule is cursed. I mean, can you even get through a grad program if the sleep schedule is not cursed? I think my PhD single-handedly is to blame for my terrible sleep cycle, which perseveres 5, 10 years on. Do you miss the UK? I just moved here a few years ago and I'm still getting used to it. Thanks for the good luck with the rest of the stream. I feel really bad saying this, but it took me a very long time to miss the UK. I did live there for 9 years. So I did a 3 year undergraduate, and that didn't, and also the undergraduate, this was at Oxford. So it's 8 weeks of, work hard, play hard, doing things all the time, really fun, perfect for the dopamine system. And then I'd go home. So, half the year I was in Spain, half the year I was in the UK. So that wasn't enough time for me to get fed up with the UK. Sort of once I would start to get homesick, I would get to go home. So I signed up for the PhD, and then like a year into the PhD, I was like, okay, I'm done with the UK. I've seen enough. Somehow staying for the UK in the UK for longer than 8 to 10 weeks at a time suddenly made it a lot kind of trickier to enjoy. I think I've been out of the UK for long enough that it would have the nostalgia factor if I visit again. And I mean, I've definitely grown up in other ways. I feel I did a lot of growing up pretty fast with, moving out at 17, but there's a degree of kind of being babied a little bit when you're a student. I think, you get to live in the so-called bubble. And now that I've bounced around a few countries, there's been a lot more figuring things out as an adult, and I feel like I could go back to the UK and appreciate it in other ways. I don't know that I would move there though. It's in Twitch settings to save past broadcasts. Also, like most people, they also wish they highlighted. Okay. I am okay. Thank you, Shackle. I am going to try and wish they highlighted. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. I am okay. Thank you, producer. Sorry, I realized I opened. They highlighted. Mute my own stream. Okay. Twitch settings. So, those are notifications. Sorry, can you tell I'm new here? Settings. Here they are. Yay. No, I do not want to disable my Twitch account. I'm not. Okay, social links. I filled this up yesterday. These are my profile settings, brand. I'll figure that out another time. Schedule. Featured content. Sorry, I still haven't figured out where this. Maybe it's in stream settings. No, that's my stream key. Oh yes, store past broadcast. Okay, I clicked it. With categories. Okay, I have clicked the thing. Hopefully, this broadcast will show up in them, even though I did this after starting. And okay, all my settings are changed. Okay, we're back. Troubleshoot has been done. 2:44 in Spain. Vampires unite. Yes, perfect. Well, thanks for streaming. I have to work out in a bit. It's nice to hear from you. In case I don't make it back. 10 assessments due before the end of the month. I mean, we are early on in the month, but that is a lot. Sleeping, eating is optional at this point. Why is it so little? The whole like triangle, sleep, social life, and work, and you pick two. I really do feel like when I was making videos during my PhD, I pretty much just slept and worked. I'd do PhD work, and then I'd get distracted by my PhD work. So yeah, it really is hard to make a full work-life balance. I really think Earth should add a few extra hours to the day. I should have been born several million years into the future when days were a little bit longer on Earth. Obviously, I'm being silly and facetious here. Now, it is approaching 6 p.m. here. And I do actually need to work. So I don't know how we feel in the chat about trialing the Pomodoro thing, or if I should just leave this chat as is and do it as this was a just chatting thing, and I try the Pomodoro stream in the future, because I did put this in one category and I don't know if that's going to affect things if I switch to a different one. But I've almost finished the script to my next video, which is going to be about bees. And I'm basically, hopefully as soon as I have it written, like probably I'm going to record it tomorrow. Obviously then it's going to take a while to edit. So this is where I'll do my little plug. This stream is not sponsored, but I have a duty to inform you. So I know there is a new video that I made about the eclipse. It is not yet on YouTube, because it is on Nebula. It is on Nebula first. The whole Nebula first deal is basically, it goes there with a significant delay before it's published elsewhere. So what I've been doing is it goes onto Nebula. If you have a subscription, great. If you don't, use my code and it gives you a large discount, and I also get a significant cut of the proceeds because it's a platform that supports indie creators made by indie creators. So that video is on Nebula. Like there is a new video available. But I can't, and it's also on Patreon. So if you prefer Patreon, you can see it there too. The plan is, it's going to go on Nebula, then a week later it goes on Patreon, and then Patreon gets all the other fun extras, etc. And then when the next video is made, I get to post the first one on YouTube, and it will come with a little plug where I say, hey, did you miss me? This is what the next video is about, and you can watch it now on Nebula. So that will be the start of the treadmill, but it's kind of in this awkward interim where I really want people to watch my new video, because I don't know that it's true, it's a lot of fun to just publish something new and like see what people have to say about it, or know that people have enjoyed making something that you spent a lot of time making. So yeah, I'm kind of in a rush to get this new video done, just because I do want to start having things go up on YouTube. So that's the little Nebula spiel. I am also going to drop my link, because the other thing I am trying to do here, usually I would not push this so hard, but because I have been gone for 3 years, it's actually understandably very hard for me to have sponsors right now, because a sponsor doesn't know how many people how many people are going to watch my videos. So the best thing to do is to have Nebula as a proxy of, okay, if people are checking you out on Nebula or following this link, it helps out. And again, rent in LA is expensive, so I'm a little bit more shameless about saying, if you're able to help, please do, but of course there's no obligation. And I know that everything is expensive for anyone. And yes, Nebula is great. Like, I do actually watch Nebula. I know it's easy for me to say, like, use this product, but I do genuinely love Nebula. I'm very, very proud to be a part of the platform. So yeah, that is my plan. I need to finish the script on bees so then I can do the equivalent of this, but to a camera, and talk excitedly about bees for, I don't know, 15 or so minutes. And then the 2 weeks of editing non-stop will begin. And then finally stuff will go on YouTube. And that's what I'm most excited about. But yeah, and I'm gonna ask a few more questions, so feel free to give me your thoughts. So I know at the beginning I said I want to try like a Pomodoro style thing. So I'd probably set a timer. I originally put 45 minutes and 15 minutes. I'd probably do something like 45 and 15 and then 25 and 5. Because truthfully, the first attention boost is the longest, so I've got to make the most of it and do as much as possible. And then, do a little thing where we chat a little bit and I go through the chat, and then we'll go back to work again. So, A, is this something that would be appealing? Because I know that's a very different stream style to what I'm doing here, where I definitely do feel obliged to talk a lot, but I'm having fun doing so. But is it going to be boring if I'm quiet, or would you want something like royalty-free music that is good? 8 hour timer, go. I guess that would be a good way of hitting the 8 hour thing. So yeah, question number one. Do you like the idea of a chill for 75% of the time work with me, and then that remaining 25% of the time I chat with you as we're doing right now? And I guess eventually I'll probably full on extrovert, get done with work and talk more. Um, it might be fun to have Cookie Clicker or some idle game playing in the background. Oh my God, Cookie Clicker! Just I think I played that in high school. Um, but yeah, I could definitely see myself doing that. Okay, that is a good idea. And then during breaks, people could vote on what move to take next. Um, hey, if people like the idea of that, I will figure that out. Twitch is a social outlet for me, so hanging out is always nice. I really enjoyed the social aspect, even though it's just me talking, but it's actually been really nice to interact with the chat. Like I get it now. Usually I'm terrified of not being able to keep up, or even worse, the opposite, when no one's talking at all. But this has been great. Um, and I know that when I'm working with friends, that's one of the biggest urges. I just want to talk whilst we're working. I suppose I could talk as I am working, but it would pretty much be a monologue because I'm writing a script. So it'd be, haha, I just learned this amusing thing and I'm gonna tell you about it. So yeah, script writing would probably be a cookie clicker kind of deal. Um, if I were to be editing a video, you could probably see the video edit happening, but I'd have to mute it or run it through some headphones so you're not getting spoiled. But you'll get a little sneak peek, I guess. But I also don't really know how interesting that would be unless you're also kind of following along. So that is question two. How do people feel about seeing the process of a video edit? Because I can probably talk through some things, even if it's muted on your end. And honestly, I quite enjoy sharing the process. I enjoy color grading, and there'll probably be parts where I'll be making the famous animations. And those parts I think would be quite fun to stream. Which, speaking of animations, so I got a tablet recently. I never, if my tablet, oh, there we go. So I'm, I've actually always wanted a Samsung tablet with a pen, so I could draw. Oh, that's my webcam. So I downloaded Flipperclip, which is this kind of stop motion animation software. And I was very excited to try it out on the tablet because I've only ever tried it out before on uh on my phone with a little stylus, but it's not quite the same. Editing and going S9. I think it is the S9 Ultra. Good eye. So okay, I'm sure there's a way of sharing and casting the screen, but I will not be able to figure this out too easily. So anyway, I'm obviously not an animator, so take this with a pinch of. It's not necessarily going to be the best. But I messed around with this yesterday. Let's see if it works. So okay, this obviously has nothing to do with any upcoming video, but I did make a little tester, which may or may not feature in my next video, kind of depending depending on how I feel. I remember a lot of my early things that I made, I would do a lot of frame by frame animation. I would actually draw them on paper. I would scan them using the work scanner, and then after hours, I would put them into Photoshop and sort of edit them together. And it would be super super fun, but it would also take a lot of time. So I'd do it for 2 or 3 videos and then get really burnt out and not want to make animations and just do B-roll. So clearly there's been enough time since I last did that that I don't have to, that I felt the drive to try and make a few little cute animations. Also, everyone always thinks that Draw Curiosity is about drawing, so sometimes I think there should be more drawing. I also have an S9 Ultra, but use it to watch YouTube like a degenerate. Hey, this is a perfect symbiotic relationship because you know what I do? I make stuff on YouTube that you could watch. I honestly wish I watched more. I think this is my problem. I am too restless. I'm really bad at, I don't think I could be a gaming Twitch person because I can't stay still for long enough. I'm actually struggling on this stream just staying still. I don't know if you can see how much I wiggle around. So gaming is hard. It's kind of hard for me to watch a show, but I think I'd also be worried about copyright and the whole, you know, reaction thing. When I'm watching a show, I'm not usually commenting on it. I want to hear everything that's being said. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I don't watch nearly enough YouTube. I sort of have to be always doing something with my hands. So drawing works nicely and making things works nicely. Use Twitch to leverage your YouTube content. Create live segments. I think that's what I'm going to be trying to do. The idea is for this to be like a fun little thing that I do in between um, uploading videos. So you get to see a little bit more of me instead of just every 3 weeks like, hey guys, I finally finished a video. Okay, off to the next one. Okay, sleep well as you can read. I really appreciate everyone who's stayed up. I know it's pretty late in Europe now, and it is 6 p.m. here. See, my autism goes the other way. I want to do many things, but can't do many, so I end up watching YouTube. It's pretty burnt out after the PhD, so I do feel like the kind of creating bug. I think it just turned into creating or doing things in other ways, but it didn't really translate into videos on the channel. Um, so I get that too. Also, people talk a lot about autistic burnout and ADHD burnout, and basically any sort of mental health condition that honestly the world does not cater to, eventually does lead to the person with it overextending themselves. Um, okay, so let's see. My questions were, how do you feel about Pomodoro segments where I chat for a little bit, but would probably be working for most of it? Pomodoro segments where so if I'm scripting, I probably won't be talking because I'm actually not a very good multitasker. So I need to be writing. If I'm writing and reading, I can't be talking. But I can talk about the fun things in between. If I'm editing, I probably can be, again, if I'm doing a rough cut, I probably won't be talking too much because I have to unfortunately listen to myself. But once the rough cut is done, the fun begins because then I get to do the color grading, and I actually really like talking about color grading and editing. So would that be interesting to watch? Would making animations like that little animation we just saw, if I were to figure out how to cast my tablet TV to OBS or worse, like just kind of have like my phone recording me from behind as I work, kind of a little bit like that crafting video. That's something that I can do idly and also chat as we go. Would that be something that's enjoyable to watch on stream? Because if so, like pretty much whenever I make an animation, I would be happy to do that. Third question, and I see here, I like photography, but it's just I cannot bring myself to sit down and do it. I guess it's burnout. That could be the case. So photography is another thing I had thought about as a possible streaming thing. So I do like taking photos. I have, there was the eclipse photo. Um, I've been going to Huntington Gardens in Pasadena and trying to get pictures of bees for said upcoming video. So that's also been fun little project to work on. And, I like editing photos, manipulating raw files, etc. So, and I know some of my photographer friends also stream whilst they're editing, so that's another thing. I could bring different creative projects into a little streaming atmosphere. Obviously, I would like to do more of these. I sit down and chat in Hangout, but I'm also trying to think, what am I usually doing when I'm in front of a computer? Usually it is focused work. Um, and what was the last one? Oh yeah, a lot of people on Instagram said they wanted to see IRL streaming, which I figured out means streaming whilst I'm walking out and about. I don't really know whether I have the setup to do that. But is that something that's interesting? I would just imagine that the audio would be terrible. That being said, VidCon is coming up, so if anyone's feeling motivated to stream with me, I know in VidCons in the past I've done little live streams which are also on Drop Curiosity. So that is something I could look into. I'm just basically trying to gauge what do people want to see, what do people like on Twitch. Um, and also on the I like photography, but it's just I cannot bring myself to sit down and do it. Would the following proposition be of interest? 52 followers. Hi, Moon Hero Dynamics. Thank you. So the proposition here is sometimes I do want to go out and take photos. What if I brought you along with me? I'm also getting a nice new camera soon. And that has also been part of the motivation for I'm gonna make videos again. Like, don't get me wrong, I adore my current camera. It's lasted for 10 years and it still works, but it does have its limitations. And I've been really excited to, you know, work with something that can do a little bit more. So one of my other, streaming ideas is I need to sit down and watch a few tutorial videos. Um, and set it up so you can join me for the ride. And the best thing about this camera is you can stream straight into OBS with it, so the quality will hopefully also go up too, if I figure that out. Also, Rani de la Gente, thank you for following me too. Oh my god, 53 followers. That is so great. IRL streaming is tough. Connection cuts out a bunch, and you basically need like a backpack with a built-in selfie stick at all times. That is what I thought. Congrats on your first stream. Thank you so much. It's actually going really well. Everyone's super sweet here. Where and when is VidCon? VidCon, so the one I'm going to is the one in LA. I'm not actually going to, well, not in LA, it's in Anaheim. But it's like an hour's drive south from where I live. I probably won't actually be going to VidCon itself. VidCon itself doesn't really have that much to offer to educational creators. Like it's definitely very centered around the fan experience. It's centered around younger audiences and maybe to creators in different genres and also for industry. So, if you were an advertiser or you had a brand or um, I know you make video tools that streamers and YouTubers might want to use, then you'd probably want to go to VidCon to find people who might want to use your tools. But obviously, a lot of people I know are going to be in town, so I'm going to be hanging out with the Nebula side of things. And if anyone is going, I'll be around the area. um, is where you get super dogs. Oh yeah, I definitely would not be streaming near my house. I guess I was thinking, what if I went to Huntington Gardens and we took some photos there? I mean, I guess theoretically someone could show up at the gardens at short notice. But I think actually they're pretty good at security. So I think that is not the end of the world. But my worry would actually be whether the connection works or not. I've actually done therapy appointments from there, so I know there is an internet connection. I just also happen to know it's not very good. All you need for that is a phone and maybe an earpiece. Or stream sniped. What is stream sniping? Yeah. And to be fair, this is California. So, well, the US. I just bought a camera for my lab for a specific protocol which needed a full frame camera and macro lens. I'm stoked to try it more than the actual experiment my students are doing. I mean, hey, if you join one of my future streams where I do like, hey, let's figure out this camera. Because again, I am so excited, but I have a nice new video camera coming and I really cannot wait. Like the thing is, it takes me forever to make a decision about anything. So by the time I make the decision, I've already over-researched it. I've hyped it up in my head, and I already know all of the things I want to do. So I've found all the best tutorial videos that I want to watch to get the most out of the settings. I know that I'm trying to figure out how to set it to stream into OBS so I can like actually talk to this camera. I have a really exciting upcoming trip, and I'm excited to kind of learn how to use it so I can also use it there. I got an adapter for all of my old lenses, and I have a really nice macro lens, so I can't wait for the high quality, smooth macro videos. So I'm getting carried away here, but anyway, so that's the kind of thing that I want to do. What did you get? It's gonna be a Canon C70. I have been deliberating for a very long time. Do I want a photo camera? I mean, the last video and possibly this B video is shot on an R5, which is not my camera. I wish. I have borrowed it, and it looks really good. But I've been torn for a little while between do I want to maybe just invest in a really good video camera? One of my annoyances with photo cameras is they do have a recording limit. And now that my videos overall are a lot longer than they used to be, I almost always hit that limit several times and I have to restart. It's also a Netflix approved camera, which actually just means it has a time code, so you can kind of sync things up much more easily. And they have XLR input. So it's just a way better machine overall. Everyone who uses it has such good things to say about the camera. I've watched a lot of test footage and reviews, and it really does seem like a useful piece of kit. Um, that sounded really close to a very rude thing. Um, Meanwhile, again, don't get me wrong. I love so my camera. Do I have it here? I think I do have it here. Okay, we're gonna do a little camera. What's in my camera bag? Okay. Ha! So it's also got my Eclipse lens attached to it, so it's has got the beast. So this is the EOS 700D, which I think is the Rebel T5i. And again, love it. It's got the hinge thing, perfect for self-shooting YouTubers such as myself. Takes decent photos. But you know what's terrible about this camera? The autofocus is awful. I am so good at manual focus nowadays. Like I've had every single setup possible to make sure that my manual focus is on point because I can't trust the autofocus. It breathes constantly. And apparently the autofocus on the C70 is extremely good. And honestly, even just using the R5, that was my first time recording a self-shot YouTube video where instead of manually focusing myself, well, I kind of do this hybrid version where you press a button and it autofocuses, but it doesn't do that unless you're asking it to focus. Um, so, you know, I've gotten very good at doing that, but it does mean that sometimes there'll be like the right piece of footage and it's just slightly out of focus, and that can be very frustrating for a perfectionist like myself. So to have something that will just basically do all the things that I do manually automatically means I can do so many more things. And the other thing is I love color correction and I love um, I love playing around with images, not in a, you know, I want to make myself or things look very different to how they are, but I love color grading. I love being able to correct an image, make it look more realistic, or maybe add some moodiness to it. And this new camera shoots in C-Log. I don't know if it does RAW, but I mean, with C-Log, you can already do so much more than what this shoots in. So I'm extremely excited, even though I'm basically sacrificing the taking photos side of things, but I don't know, most of what I do is video, so it kind of makes sense. Anyway, this is my I love cameras bit, I guess. Um, the limit on the R5 is terrible. Yeah, researching is definitely. Sorry, I'm going to scroll up and catch up on chat. DJI Osmo Pocket is a little beast for that. So I do actually have an old DJI Osmo. Um, I think I made the wrong purchase with that one. I've actually like hardly ever used it, and it didn't. I don't know. Somehow it didn't tickle me the way I needed it to. But DJI does make good stuff. They make really good gimbals, super docks. So I'm just catching up. When people show up where you are streaming, like if they recognize the area and they are local, I guess that is a concern for sure. Um, I think the places where I would go, I know have some sort of security and are also public places. So I know not that I think or hope anyone's gonna show up with a gun or anything like that, but they're places that I know have security. Um, what did you get? The 50% of the fun of getting a nice piece of gear is researching. I agree. There's something so nice about dreaming. Yeah, I guess I mean the limit on the R5 is the same as any other Canon camera. And I know it's for tax reasons. Video cameras have much higher taxes. Kind of a dumb thing, but for the kind of work I mean, I have an R5. And for my short little videos from my memories, it's so nice. So again, and this is budget allowing. The thing about none of these cameras are cheap. But the other thing I've been thinking about. So when things get better and I recoup from the C70, I know Canon is going to announce the R1, and I've kind of always dreamed of having like the proper workhorse as long as I know I'm going to use it. So I'm kind of waiting for the R1 to be announced and then from there decide if an R1, an R3, or an R5 would be the better photo camera. But for now, I'm really, really excited to fully explore video. Oh yeah, the lens. So this will be in the new video because this was the lens I bought to take pictures of the eclipse. It's not even the full setup, so I'm bringing the camera out again. You might have seen it also in some of my Instagram posts, but there was a teleconverter in between which not fully doubled but substantially increased the focal length of this. It becomes even longer because you can zoom all the way out to 600. I also spent a long time researching this lens because I was debating between an 100 to 400 or the 150 to 600. And, everyone complains that the 600 weighs more, but everyone who gets a 400 wants to be zooming in all the time. And I hate that feeling of, I wish I had a longer lens. And, I could do with getting buff and getting longer biceps. So I went for the heavier option. And the best part about this is my old macro lens, which I used to think was so heavy, is now comparatively so light. So my steadiness when taking pictures of insects has shot through the roof just from working with this. Um, and it is indeed a Sigma lens. Back when I was doing the PhD, we would always get third-party lenses, Tamron or Sigma, and Sigma just looks nicer. Like Tamron is great if you're on a budget and you don't care about chromatic aberration, but Sigma does a really, really good job with their lenses if you want quality but not have to pay Canon prices. Anyway, let me put this big thing back into a camera bag. And yeah, and I'm also very happy. I've always wanted a wildlife lens. I feel like I now finally have more or less a full kit. I have a cine lens that's wide angle that I use for astrophotography. I have the one I shoot the videos on, which is Sigma Art 18 to 35. That one I got through YouTube Next Up with the Samyang one. They gave us a really sweet voucher. I have my macro because, of course, I wanted to take photos of insects. And I remember going to this little Sigma workshop, and all of them were saying, we got to test out all the different macros, and I love feeling validated in my decisions. But the one that I have specifically was their favorite one, or the one that they would recommend. So feeling very vindicated. So yes, I guess this is a very Samyang heavy bag. I'm gonna keep reading the chat. Oh yeah, no, the newest camera's focus is so absurdly good compared to my L70. Mirrorless autofocus is so good. Like technology has just advanced so much, and also the C70 works really well in low light. The one I have is also not great in low light. Obviously, if I'm shooting a YouTube video, I have lighting set up and I want everything to be perfect. So under studio conditions, it's not really a problem. But it does get tricky when you're pushing the camera to the limit. So, I'm very proud of like the eclipse photos I got and the astrophotography photos I've gotten, but I feel I have to be so much more careful about the technical aspects of the camera, and then despite that, there'll still be little mistakes. So what I'm hoping is that from training myself to be very good at shooting manual and carefully, now when I have a camera that can do a lot of these things on their own, I can get even better stuff. Right, I'm gonna put this back. Now keep reading the chat. Hopefully, I don't have to reference anything from this back. BRB. Okay, I'm back. More like a tripod. Um, it looks like with that lens, a self shot would require a long arm. Oh yeah, I would absolutely not be shooting with that. You have to be stood quite a way away. Um, but because it's such a long lens, it's just easier for it to be attached to my camera whilst it's in the bag. I had the Pocket One and then sold it and got the Pocket 3. Oh, is that when you say the Pocket One, is that the Black Magic Pocket? I love how I just put the camera back, but actually, so one of my YouTube friends, which actually you may watch some of their videos, Trace Dominguez, um, he's also one of the first people I saw make like cool science stuff on YouTube. So I have a little pocket camera on loan from him, but I think in the end I've decided that I'm going to go Canon. Like I was already a Canon fan, and I think I'm probably gonna stay that way, but I do edit using Blackmagic software, so I was very curious about the Blackmagic camera system. Oh yeah, not cheap, don't take advice from me, I'm way too down the rabbit hole. It's okay, at this point it's a business expense. A new drinking game. Every time Inés flips her hair, take a drink, but don't, you'll die. Yes, I'm sorry, I do touch my hair a lot because it's always getting in the way. I'm sure the R5 Mark II will be nice. I did spend a while. Yeah, that was also something I was considering because I know it's also about to be announced. And also the R5C was announced too, which was supposed to be like the perfect hybrid of the C70 and the R5. But the conclusion is everyone prefers either one or the other, and they're like, don't, this is not actually the best of both worlds as promised. And yes, that was a Sigma lens. I actually do not have any Tamron lenses. I bought Tamron lenses for the lab, but for true optical quality, Sigma and Canon do tend to be better. I know now there's a lot of new, like Laowa, there's a lot of new glass that I kind of want to look into, but it is an expensive rabbit hole that I cannot afford right now. So for the price, the Sigma art lens were amazing. I remember first time shooting a wedding with the 500mm prime. Everything looked amazing. Sigma, yeah, Sigma has great glass. Again, I always think of Sigma for their microscope stuff, but they really do pay a lot of attention to making sure all the elements are doing the right things. I had a 24 to 70 Tamron, my first grown-up lens. I used it so much, and then when I switched to the Canon R with the 24 to 240mm, which is not supposed to be ultra sharp, and it destroyed the Tamron. But nice because the 24 to 240 is cheaper than the Tamron was. I think my new camera also comes with a kit lens that has a substantial zoom and is Canon, and it's my first L glass, so I'm also excited for that, although the f-stop is not as, smooth as my old stuff. Actually, what I can't wait is to use the Sigma art on this new camera. Sorry, I was gonna say I'm like giving away my future stream ideas, but I think that's fine because I'm sure some of these things will come up again. Always wanted one, never quite pulled the trigger. I think Sigma is great for the price. This is proving that one of your Pomodoro break activities can and should be camera reviews and discussions. Well, I can guarantee with my new camera coming in, I'm going to be talking so much about cameras, and I can also tell, like both from talks in the Discord server and also just from here, I can tell that a lot of people who watch me uh, like to dabble, and also more than dabble. Like some of you make really good videos, even though you're not YouTubers, but I've seen the things you make. And again, small minor plug for the Discord. You can join by just joining my Patreon once. I think you get to stay even if you like leave my Patreon, or if it does boot you out, just let me know and I'll re-add you. But I don't. I generally think there are people there who were Patreons in the past and not anymore. So if you join once, you get to join the Discord. So maybe I should create a camera section there. Since it's for work, I think you can justify having a dedicated video camera like the C70 and then a stills body like the R5 Mark II or the R1. That is precisely what I'm thinking. And I think I like the idea of having a financial goal where I can save up for an exciting piece of kit and get to use both in a specialized way. Because obviously, when I got that camera almost 10 years ago, I got it in September 2014. I wasn't sure if I was ready for this sort of investment, and I got it to try things out, something that was the best of both worlds. I knew I wanted video, but it's always good to be able to take photos. And now, a decade on, I have a much clearer idea of how to use a camera and what things I like to do with them. Wait, what L lens did you get? I believe it is the kit lens that comes with the C70 when you order it from Canon. Let me check that for you. C70 um kit lens. It's not the bestest of specs, but it's a very sweet zoom lens. 24 to 105 millimeters for LIS-USM lens kit. And I remember looking at I didn't look at these reviews quite as thoroughly, but I know for a fact that if I'm that zoomed in, I generally don't want a low f-stop anyway. And if it's L-glass, I already know it's probably going to be pretty good. And it's just nice to have the flexibility of a zoom lens. And that's kind of the last niche bit of lenses that I don't really have covered, because I have my ultra wide 14mm Samyang. I have my 18 to 35 Sigma Art. I do have a 50mm prime, which I never use because I have a crop sensor, so it's always too close when I'm self-shooting. And then it goes up to the 105mm, so this 24 to 70 is kind of perfect for that gap having between. And I think I'm having an increasing appreciation for zoom lenses that maintain their optical quality as you move them out. Because I guess back when I got lenses, the Sigma Art, the 18 to 35 was always, the price of three prime lenses for one, like the most amazing zoom lens ever. The 150 to 600, sure, when you're like extending it out, it's not perfect, but for something that long, you need it to be a zoom lens to kind of find something and then zoom in. And honestly, the quality, there's not much adjustments required when zooming in, despite all of that. When is the cam going to be there? I don't know yet, but it's going to be here by next week. Kind of depends on how fast Canon. Actually, I can check, but I don't think I'll have an answer yet. Yeah. Tomorrow morning I will find out what the delivery date is. So it might be as early as Saturday, or I have to wait till next week. But regardless, if it arrives next week, that's probably better because it means I actually have more time to write and perfect my script. And as long as it arrives soon, I might be able to shoot my first video on it. But I'm kind of debating between like just shooting tomorrow anyway, so I'd have the video ready to go. Yeah, but 10 years ago, video features on cameras were awful in retrospect. That is true. I mean, Canon was kind of the pioneer at the time, and I know that Sony overtook them, but I still like Canon a lot, so I need to learn how to color grade in DaVinci and then actually get the time and willpower to edit. Well, one thing I love color grading in DaVinci Resolve. I actually do not like editing, but I love color grading. I think and also, um, because DaVinci it's not intuitive. It's definitely something where you need to watch a few tutorials, but but it makes so much more sense. I like it so much more than color grading on any other software that I've tried. I don't know, I love how intuitive it is. So if that is something that interests you, that is something I can guarantee will be on a future stream. It was between that one and the 24 to 240 because they're around the same price. But the thought of having a super zoom and that extra reach was too tempting. To be fair, if that had been offered as their kit lens, I think this came with a discount and it also came with like the free adapter mount. CapCut is a good, free, easy edit if you're just getting into it. Oh, I don't know if this is too me or too serious. But yeah, later today I'm going to be buying the paid version of DaVinci, um, because this C70, C-Log 2 and C-Log 3, you need the paid version. And again, I'm not sponsored by DaVinci, but I have way less qualms about paying $300 once for DaVinci for a lifetime access to all of their premium features. And I definitely prefer that to the Adobe system where they charge a lot and it's a subscription based thing, and each time they add new features, the price goes up. And I don't know, my unpopular opinion is I think DaVinci's better. DaVinci has probably the amount of times that DaVinci has crashed on me, I can probably count on my hand. Whereas Premiere, I think, like bugs out each time I click on it. Sorry, this was not meant to be a let's disparage Adobe stream. It just happened to come up. Yeah, Resolve has more pro features, but it is harder to learn. Totally agreed. And I think that's, again, I think that's one of the nice things about maybe what I'm trying to do with this streaming thing is I'm hoping the stuff where I need to be focused and learn things like learn this new camera, I could do with learning a few Fusion tutorials to get a little bit better at particle manipulation. And I think that's the kind of thing that would be fun to do together on stream. Also, because a lot of you have a lot more expertise in some of these aspects than I do, and you'll have good suggestions. I'm an Adobe victim at the moment. I'm so sorry you're an Adobe victim. The sheer amount of not crashing is worth it for Resolve compared to Adobe. To be fair, you do have to get your specs right with your laptop. Like, I chose this laptop because it would work with DaVinci Resolve, and that was one of the leading decisions for what I buy. And it's worth saying that the brick on this thing, we're going to do a switching to the other camera. Please hold. So I can show you how big. Arian camera. Right, we're switching to the tablet. Okay, it's working. Perfect. All right. Sorry, trying to get this to balance. Okay, so yeah, my laptop charger is, I mean, it's not really a laptop, it's a portable desktop at this point. My previous laptop had an even bigger power thing. Like, this laptop is considered light by my standards just because the previous one was so heavy. But if I unplug it, it actually only lasts about an hour when I'm doing the really intensive DaVinci Resolve editing, etc. So, not very portable. That's kind of what the tablet is for. But it works like a dream. It pretty much exports in real time. It can play. The animations do slow it down a little bit more, but it works pretty well. Okay, So I'm catching up on chat again. Yeah, that might be part of the issue. I'm dead set on using it. Yeah, I do like all, and also a lot of people who edit for Hollywood productions, they actually do use DaVinci. Like as a color grader, it's definitely one of the best out there. Also one of my more embarrassing confessions, which you only, oh, sorry. Let me switch back to the webcam version. There we go. One of my most embarrassing confessions, which you're only hearing because, again, I feel you've stuck around for this long, so thanks for being here. 2.5 hours in. Um, Back when I had the super long hair, like one of the downsides of the really long hair is I get dandruff very easily. Because, you know, if you have short hair and your scalp flakes, it falls out. But if you have long hair, it doesn't. You have to manually remove it. I hate it. It's very embarrassing. It's definitely gotten way better since doing, you know, the undercut thing. But the amount of times I had to use DaVinci Resolve to track like a tiny piece of dandruff and just like blur it out in comparison to everything around it and track it for the full presenting thing around like blah 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 the whole way. You know, that is what I use DaVinci Resolve for. The fact that it knows what it is that I'm trying to track and it makes it look natural and you can't tell in the finished product and it will still play that video back to me in real time. That is why I'm sold on DaVinci. Anyway, now that we've talked about my dandruff, we're gonna go back to the chat. Rent a 200 to 800 RF lens when you get your camera. It's amazing what it can do at its price point. I'm curious how much that would cost. So, and this is a genuine question. Because originally, when I was going to the Eclipse, I was originally going to rent an 800 millimeter lens. And the quote was $875 for a whole week, because the trip was a week long. So it's not like I could just magically have it for the day and give it back. And I thought, well, that's only $200. Well, okay, no, it's a bit more. My lens was a bit more expensive than that because I also bought a teleconverter. But you know, this thing with the teleconverter has more reach than the 800 anyway. Actually, maybe not on the APS-C. But regardless, I figured I could just own the lens forever for a little bit more instead of for 5 days. Anyway, here I am explaining my financial decisions. Also, we have a new follower. Hi, Gigi, Guiyi. One of my other big fears is I'm pronouncing everything correctly because I know I'm someone who will genuinely be I always want people to pronounce my name correctly, and of course I also want to pronounce everyone else's name correctly. Um oh Lord, yeah, let's normalize people having dandruff. Yes. Let it snow. You know, I mean, you know, I'll save the jokes. Yeah, I've seen pictures of the June Part 1 edit in Resolve is wild. I have not seen pictures of that, and I guess I know what I'm gonna be looking at after this stream, or maybe now. Honestly, I might just keep going until I'm no longer home alone. So I never had it when I lived in Venezuela, but then Madrid tried me out like a mummy, and now I have dandruff. Um, you know, that sentence was so Spanish, I have to say. Yeah, I don't know if I ever had problems in Seville because Seville's super dry too, but I also, because it's so hot, of course I didn't have the super long hair there. And then when I moved to Singapore, again, I knew I was not going to survive with super long hair, so I had it nice and short. I mean, like most lenses, it ain't cheap, 2.5K. To be fair, the 800 one that they were going to rent to me was 13 grand because the other reason I couldn't rent it was they said we have to put a deposit hold on your account for $13,000. And I'm pretty sure my account did not have that amount inside. So I don't know what an account hold does. Is it going to make me overdrawn? Does it just mean I'm screwed if something does happen to the lens? I genuinely don't know, but that was one of the factors. You mean your name is not Ines? In Spanish, my name is Ines, but in English, because my parents are British, they decided to invent how it's pronounced, and it's Innes, rhymes with face. That's what I always say. Um, and I don't know. I don't like it when in English people pronounce it differently, but obviously, in español, Inés, me podéis llamar así. But yeah, I think my parents' thought process. So, for context, my parents are British, hence the accent. But they moved to Spain before I was born. They've lived in Spain. They've been in Spain for longer than I have. But I was meant to be a boy. I was gonna be called Thomas, Tom Scott. I'm coming for your namesake. And then surprise, I was born a girl. Um, and I was also cesarean, so apparently my mum and my dad were happy I was a boy because they agreed on the name Thomas, but they couldn't agree on a girl's name. So they're like, okay, we don't have to worry about this. Then I was a spanner in the works by being a girl. And my dad did a crossword, and the name Ines was in it, and he thought it was a nice name. And that's how I got my name. But I think my parents said Ines, and I'm just assuming because the E with the accent on it, like cafe, is kind of an A sound. I think that was their thought process. But also, no one in the history of ever since then has ever looked at my name and just figured that is how you pronounce my name. Tom Scott is still going, and he was on his show not too long ago. I mean, I think did not Tom Scott did retire. He has his well-earned break right now. But I was on lateral a year ago, and it's true. I'm slightly embarrassed that my videos are coming out now because when I was on lateral, I kind of like had my ideas of what I wanted my next set of videos to be before the eclipse came around. And then I had a bunch of other stuff come up. So, anyway, better later than never. But I remember on Lateral specifically talking about, hey, I'm gonna be coming back to YouTube soon. And then that soon ended up being a few other months. But anyway, the plan is in motion. Um, now, now one of the other things I need to think about because it is wow, time has really zoomed on, and also it is crazy that there's still 16 people here. Thank you so much. I am starting to think about dinner because I don't know if you can hear my stomach, but my stomach is rumbling quite a lot. So I need to decide if I'm going to go outside, hunter-gatherer style, and find dinner out, or if I'm just going to make something here. But I should start thinking about food soon. He's still putting out lateral podcasts. Okay, good. I mean, I know that man is never going to stop making things. I just know he needed the break from the weekly videos, and I get that. I don't think I've ever made a weekly video more than 3 weeks in a row, and I was already like dead. And halfway to burnout, which is why now I'm saying I'm making a video every 3 to 6 weeks, dependent on the length of video. And if eventually I can hire an editor, I'm sure that rate can go up. For now, I do it all myself. Forage is California. I'm sure you can forage some prunes and walnuts. I bet, yeah, I'm sure Erewhon will have trail mix. I think all the actual proper places that I could go to forage things are probably closed at this time because a lot of them have opening hours. A cooking stream could be a thing that I do. So technically, the only time I've been on Twitch was on a very good friend of mine's Twitch. And she was cooking lasagna that day, and that lasagna was so good. I still think about it. Been on this stream for so long that I've had not one but two rogue alarms go off during it. That was the Britishest proper I've heard in a while. Here we go, the accent's coming back. It just took 2 hours 45 talking by myself to shake off this California accent. Is California. I'm sure you can also forage up a video editor. Well, you say that, but I've actually, I mean, if anyone likes to not forage, edit in DaVinci Resolve, I am in, I am looking for someone to help with rough cuts, and as the Draw Curiosity finances get better, that role will be expanded to more editing roles. But for now, I'm trying to find someone who will just simply help turn the like 2, 3 takes of Inés tries to talk about the newest thing to condense it into one. I felt that pee. Fromage. Dun, dun, dun. So I'm catching up on chat. You're so hungry, you're starting to think in cheese. I mean, now that you mentioned cheese, 1 second, I'm gonna get a piece of string cheese. So I'm gonna go off camera. Okay, I got some. Uh, I'm sorry to all the Europeans. I know too that this does not compare to what we would normally have in cheese, but this will help me think long enough to figure out what I am going to eat. I do like some Monterey Jack. Anyway, whilst I eat this cheese, what are your favorite cheeses? I think it's time for chat to write a little bit. I'm also going to quickly check notifications. And mm, mm, mm. Mozzarella and some pizza. Honestly, yes. Do you like fresh mozzarella or do you like hardened, the mozzarella logs or shredded mozzarella? Yeah, no, this is not manchego. Please do not mention manchego. I love manchego. It is a crime that I'm not eating manchego right now. Um, I do have a thing for boursin. The thing is, boursin became a very. If I wanted speed pasta, I would get the garlic boursin, cut out a chunk of it, mix it with a little bit of milk, microwave it for a little while, cook your pasta al dente, add that on top, and you have the perfect cheesy, garlicky base. So you just have to, I don't know, cook some bacon or some vegetables, toss it all together, and you have like a pretty tasty meal in 15 minutes flat. But I don't think Boursin is my favorite cheese. It is my favorite convenient cheese. Camembert is also good. I had some sweet camembert. Yes, I do love camembert. In Cartagena, I've never forgotten about it with strawberry jam. Yes, I know exactly what you are referring to, and I am now hungry again despite eating some cheese. Now she's punishing us by making us hungry. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. It is true. I'm also making myself hungry. I think this is a group punishment thing. Because yeah, thinking about cheese. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is nice, but it's not it's not a wheel of brie. Boo, Madrid. I've actually only ever been to Madrid for work related things, so I've not enjoyed the Madrid life, but all I know is it's a lot harder to find the churros de rueda when in Madrid compared to the south of Spain, and that on its own is a crime. For everyone else watching. So I'm sure you're familiar with churros because in most places they will sell pretty overpriced churros. Whereas there's a concept that is €1 de churros, €1 of churros, and it's more churros than you can eat in a sitting. So you would order €1 de churros and share it with your friends. You get some nice thick hot chocolate with it, and you dunk your churros in. The equivalent here is you pay $5 to $15 for churros, and you get a fifth of what you would get in your euro de churros. And normally they have the little thin sticks or the little loopy pretzel shaped ones. But in Andalusia, we make churro de rueda, which are the nice, big, thick, spirally ones. And I've just never seen them outside of the south of Spain. Maybe they're easier to find in Madrid now, I don't know. But I know that whenever I've been there, I've just never been able to find them. But to be fair, churros were also they're not something I would have very often. Um, the churro that, the, my churro designated day would either be if I was staying over with certain friends in the south, they would always get churros for breakfast as a treat for everybody. And it's like waking up to breakfast in bed, but better. You're waking up to churros. Um, and the only other day I would have churros is on Easter Day. Easter Sunday is the last day of Easter week in Spain, which is more than a week long, actually. So it's kind of the grand finale, and the last procession actually passes very close to where I used to live in Seville. So it would wake me and my mother up, and so we would get up at 4 a.m., watch this religious procession, and as it was dawning, we would then go and get some churros to eat together. If you make it to the south in Aracena, Huelva is actually where I would get these churros from. That is the insider knowledge. Okay, I am now gonna throw my cheese wrap away. This string cheese is only served to make me hungrier. Also, okay, this is a very, I feel like very silly asking this question, but what do streamers do when they need the bathroom? Like, do they just leave the computer unattended? How does that work? Um, I say this because, again, 3 hours into the stream and 2 glasses of water in, um, I might be approaching the I have to actually go because I am hungry and despite eating my string cheese, I do kind of need to go. But yeah, I'm really curious. Like people who stream for a long time, do they just kind of have a break? Do they like play a video in the middle? Do they just keep people waiting? They have like okay, an away graphic. So like running jovially in the stream out with just a chair on the screen for a while. Okay, put a. If I ever make custom emotes, there will be a cardboard cutout of myself eating cheese for sure. Many will play past VOD clips. Sometimes they play a video. Okay. Well, okay, that is helpful. I also definitely appreciate all of the insight into Twitch culture because again, I feel like a little bit of a guest, kind of just trying out Twitch without knowing much about it, or I feel like I've only watched like friends and people I know on Twitch before, but I've never quite understood it. But anyway, I've had this bodes well. I've had a very good time. And also you'll have been great. uh, VOD video on demand. Cool. You can use OBS to have some type of info card when away. How to do so, I don't know yet. I mean, in your case, you actually have videos to show. That is true. I mean, I feel like maybe what I would it make more sense if I just dropped the link to the video and then if anyone who wants to watch it watches it on their end? Because what if they've already watched the video? I know very little. I follow like 2 people, you and another friend who streams games, who's also from Andalusia. Well, thank you so, so much for watching me. I feel super honored that you're watching me when like watching streaming content is not generally something you would do. That means a lot, genuinely. Um, you could drop the link to the video, but it's like about the whole multimedia experience. I guess so. I just figured like, is it if I'm streaming a video and well, I think I'm just assuming the stream quality isn't good. Hopefully it is actually good and solid, but if it isn't, um, then I would worry that you're getting a choppy video. What could watch the actual thing. Or if you've already seen it, maybe you tune out the video and miss it when the stream is back. But I don't know, actually, I guess people who watch streamers know this way better than I do. I think what's just showing is that I don't watch streamers and I'm too restless. Like, even as is, I'm not staying still. JK, I follow a third person, a tech PC YouTuber, because he's a chill dude. We do like chill people. I say, not sounding chill at all. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do 4 more minutes because I kind of just want to see the counter get to 3 hours, and then I should probably be responsible and actually figure food out for myself. Um, and maybe write that script too. I don't know if I would do like 2 streams in one day. Also, one of the things I wanted to figure out but never got around to doing because you're all so wonderfully chatty, um, was um, I did want to create a new little room, but where I share my screen if it's relevant to what I'm doing. Because I wanted to figure out if I can share my editing content or photography stuff or, all of these future stream ideas. I don't know. Is it like okay to stream twice in a day? Is that not too much burnout if I stream more than once? It's also going to depend on if I'm home alone, because as I mentioned, I do feel a bit awkward when I'm streaming or like doing a video call or a phone call of any sort with someone around. Maybe I just have to get over that. You're actually doing a great job at staying still. A lot of streamers also cannot sit still. They're really hyper on whatever to build hype. I do think I'm pretty hyper. I mean, I guess it's out of frame, but my legs are moving everywhere. And I think what I did like about the multicam experience is that I could switch between different positions. If you stream twice in a day, you can catch different people in different times. Actually, that's a good point because, um, like I mentioned, some of the feedback I got from people, I had some people in Australia who said one of the sad things is that they miss out on a lot of streaming content because when they're available is not when most people are streaming. And I guess we did see a lot of Europeans go to bed, and we do have a very brave person who I know if you're in Madrid, I know it's late over there. Talking money, I think US audiences might watch later. Like right now, all the Spaniards are asleep. Well, you're missing serious. He's serious about being awake. Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't think these streams are making money right now anyway, because it's not partnered account, but this is fun. I'm a night owl mood. Okay, well, if I stream later, I will do a better job at pinging the Discord because I know at least 2 of you are in the Discord. And that one might have to be a bit more chill because, I should be doing the whole working thing. I work Latin American times. Mood. Although, yeah, I guess it would be like late. It is starting to approach the evening time here. Like even the sun is starting to go down. It is surprisingly cloudy outside, so there's not much sun to see. So for me, it's kind of nighttime. I'll go to bed in a bit. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna do 2 more minutes just because I really want to do a 3 hour stream. I think that actually would be a record for me. I think even my previous streams kind of were done within an hour or two. And if I do a second one today, it is going to be much more chill. So we will try the Pomodoro method. And if I don't stream later today, then I'll probably stream tomorrow morning or like earlier in the afternoon. So that might be more favorable for the European audiences. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I guess I do tend to do things with my evenings if I can, but I'm also like pretty set on getting everything recorded and done. You just had fun chatting this time. Yeah, I was truly a full-on Spaniard. How much later do you think? I don't really know because step one is going to be finding food. Um, a friend also invited me to do um like some acrobatics, but I don't think I have time to eat and go there. So I might have to skip that, in which case I would just be eating. I don't know, probably the latest. I mean, I'm also a night owl and I do have also a terrible sleep schedule. So I probably could theoretically stream quite late, but I also don't want to disturb people who are asleep in this house. Hi, Christopher! Oh no, you're arriving just as I'm probably gonna be leaving soon, at least for a little bit because I need to eat. But yeah, acrobatics. I think we missed the lead here. Oh, well, I mean, I'm very bad at leaving, as we can see. And also we're like 3 seconds away from my 3 hour mark, and I'm still not leaving. Um, so in vain with I cannot sit still. I know in undergraduate I used to do cheerleading, and I also got into acrobatics at the time because it kind of helped me train a little bit more body awareness and I know moving oneself in coordination with other people. And I'm currently on the west side, and there are like more acro meetups or acro-y things that happen on the west side. So it is theoretically possible for me to attend some acro-y things, but I'm also kind of hungry, and I also don't know how much presence of mind I have to do acrobatic things. And the other thing, and I keep forgetting this, but I have very long nails. Right now, I joined the manicure train, and I do really like how they look, but they're not super safe for acrobatics. Next streams are gonna have full acrobatics, Cirque du Soleil style. Hey, if I am able to rent a pole studio overnight, um, I probably would stream something like that. That feeling when 2 years from now you have like a dedicated room with soundproofing. Go hard, go home. I guess that's true. You know the number of YouTubers here who actually do have that setup. There is the full-on studio stream recording room, and I do aspire to having that eventually. For now, there's just a little corner in my house. But yeah, I think I am gonna call it on this stream. I've actually had a really, really, really lovely time. You've all been fantastic in chat. You're all lovely, and I also really appreciate how many people showed up. I really appreciate how many people have followed and tuned in, and especially those of you who've like stayed for the whole stream. Like you're great. Hopefully the VOD is going to be visible if that's something that people watch. If not, it's definitely going to be on my like side YouTube channel. Um, which is on Rhymes with Face. And apparently you got 106 views. That's okay. Anyway, this is pretty chill. We'll chill dudes and dudettes. I like chill people. And yeah, thank you to the 17 to 26 people to I think there was briefly a moment where we went to over 30. Like, I don't know, that's really cool. It's very encouraging. I'm kind of excited to be back on the internet and making things again. But yes, I will actually go now and eat and give my voice a break because anyone who does know me in real life will know that even though I can be pretty chatty, I don't usually talk for like 3 hours straight. Cheese stream, cheese stream. Okay. Bye, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your days, nights. Sleep well. Thank you for tuning in today. And maybe I'll see you later. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow. I have to stream on 7 different days, so I will be there. Now is the part where I figure out, oh wait, how do I stop streaming? I stop streaming from OBS. Okay, now for realsies.